Come on in. I will start at the 2 minute mark. Come on in. Come on in. Live and learn will be the lesson of Tuesday. It'll be the lesson of Tuesday. Oh, man. Always make sure you appreciate the good things in life. Always make sure you even appreciate yourself. I'm never going to give up on people that don't know themselves fully, and information very valuable in this world. Some information that some people got in this world, it gives them motivation to move on. Some information that people got will keep them disciplined to do certain things. And some people don't have information at all, so they can't do too much in life. And in that circuit is many of times where we see humans downgrade humans and humans diss on humans. Every time I keep on looking and searching for, it's like two words, love and hate. It could be so simple, right? And a lot of times people will say that hate is strong and love is a strong word too, but I think that people was taught hate more than they was taught love. And even though you need to teach people love, it seems like the world took it in the wrong way. And we have a world that we see today where chaos reigns. I don't like to be delusional and acting like you don't see what you don't see in the world that we all could see, you know? I don't like it, because when it comes down to the real time, when it comes down to the red zone, that's when everybody want to panic. But nobody wants to really understand the little itty bitty situations that build up to big disasters. And I be looking at a lot of these, call them so-called rap beefs, you know, because I don't even care, really. I ain't got no respect for none of them. The so-called rap community, many people passed away because they thought they was having a rap battle, or they thought they was in hip-hop beef. Ain't no such thing as hip-hop beef. Ain't no such thing as that. Because If it's hip hop and we talking about the elements, it's supposed to be competitive of skills. These people made it competitive on person of what you got, of person of what you don't got. So I always say, all of those people that look at stuff like that and you judge hip-hop battling and you judge grown men and women hating each other, but you're not judging the skills. And I always said, wow, one of the best battles I ever seen in my life, it was on YouTube because my god brother sent it to me. It was Percy P versus Lord Finesse, and it was skills versus skills. And that's why I could laugh at when you see this thing of Jadakiss, 38 Special, Jim Jones, Davies, and all of them. It's not a rap battle because grown men get into their emotions, and this is just to show everybody, including Fat Joe, but this is just to show everybody how the black man don't know his place in America, and you are built up with a lot of emotions, and anything will tick you off, because if you can't rap off of skills and everything goes to personal. Biggie and Tupac died. Biggie and Tupac wasn't never really no street people at all. Okay? But they died of what people thought was East Coast versus West Coast. Like, who is Tupac going to war with? Who did he have beef with in the streets? Okay? And the same thing with Biggie. Y'all take this so-called rap beef and actually think it's a game. And people don't learn. Even when the blood is being spilled and the caskets are being dropped down inside the ground, in the dirt is covering it. People don't learn. And to be honest, many people will never learn, because it's a cycle that will continue to go on. You know how a bicycle spoke keeps spinning? This how that will keep spinning. Because when you look at the so-called rap beef, people don't want to call the realness of what it is. Grown men being childish in their emotions like little women and girls. But people don't want to say that because it's not competitive. If it was competitive, you will rap with lyrics. If it was competitive, whether people think 38 Special is looking for attention, or he want Jadakiss to actually battle, or Jim Jones, of course it's going to get disrespectful. Because Nas and Jay-Z showed you how disrespectful it could be, leaving condoms in back of your baby mom's back seat. You know? So, like, let's stop acting like this rap battle stuff that people call, even in the URL and King of the Dot and all those, is not rap battle. Okay? It's personal. And until human beings learn to admit the truth, and until human beings learn to actually grow, you're going to always have people getting beat up, knocked out, killed, stabbed, shot in this so-called rap game. Okay? Bless up, man. Grand rising to you, my brother. Grand rising to you, man. Sun bless, man. Job bless to you. You're gonna always have. I was kind of looking to see if you was on. I was looking to see if you was on yesterday and today too. But I said, let me just come on and talk about like a lot of different things. But what I'm really talking about right now is like battle rap, and how people change battle rap and they took it into personal rap. Cause sometimes I'm ashamed to call it battle rap. Oh man, bless up, Elder. Thank you, Elder. Grand rising to both of y'all. I didn't even notice he was in the building just now too, Elder. I thought it was only you, Proud. But grand rising to you, Elder. Grand rising to you, Proud. And God bless to the three of us. And let's, reason and chat. No, but I was really talking about battle rapping from all around the world. And even if you want to get into the reggae part, clashing, and select the clashing. Like, I grew up where I seen DJs, what we call in America, and I seen selectors, Jah please forgive me, like, you had to really have big speakers. You had to have a lot of crates. You had to have a lot of turntables, like you had to have 2 turntables, but you had to have backup in case anything happened. You had to have an attitude to know that all of the records you have inside of these crates, when you play them, people gonna be happy. And your opponent, like, I done seen, shout out to Tech Life, shout out to Exorcist Sound, shout out to Rock City. Like, I done seen sound systems, like, hate each other, in, like, real life, and I'm not talking when they get on the sound stage in the park, or even in a certain section where they battling, where you seen these dudes, or even if it was a lady, they don't like each other, but you know what? They know if they hate each other, right? And they want to take it to another level, they not taking that hate that they got for each other in real life and bringing it to the dance hall or bringing it to the scene. Cause they going, the only way they was dissing on each other was musically, vibration. Like, I done watched some sound systems tell some other sound systems, like, yo, we warring tonight and it's gonna be all love. I done watch dudes in Brooklyn stand in ciphers with each other from different neighborhoods, and they hated each other from different neighborhoods. Because you could be from East New York and you could be from Brownsville. He came from Bed-Stuy. And everybody came and met in a certain park. And they be like, yo, he the best on the block. And niggas be like, nah, yo, he the best on the block. And they be like, nah, yo, he the best on our block. And you put like 4 dudes in a circle, and it got like probably 200 people around, and more people are coming, cause whichever block y'all in, whether it's East New York, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy, people, Flatbush too, people are gonna hear that, yo, it's a bunch of dudes and girls in the park, it's a cipher, like, they battling. And trust me, when you see more people coming in, I ain't gonna say it's friendly competition, but It's love, cause you want to see what he got or she got. You want to see what your opponent got. Let me not even put a gender on it. You want to see how your opponent is coming. You want to see how your opponent could flip their style, whether it's rhyming, whether it's singing, whether it's beatboxing, whether it's you got two DJs going at it. And I remember growing up in the kid in the Bronx, like I seen DJ selectors go at it, and let me tell you, as I said, they hated each other outside the park, but when they got in the park, they made sure other people that was on their team didn't disrespect people on the other team. You feel me? They made sure people stayed in their place, and they made sure that even though we got street drama, we not going to take other people and bring them into our drama and make it worse. We going to play our sounds, they going to play their sounds, and we going, whether we got beef tomorrow night, that's our beef, but that's not the neighborhood beef. That's not other people. And what you see going on in the, not hip-hop only, you see going on in the music so-called business, people always dragging extra people into the beef. Because a lot of people ain't watching how 38 Special talked about he smoked Jadakiss on the track. Man, when I talk about straight music, right? Jada is one of my best MCs, and I'm one of those people that'll say right now, as an MC or whatever, a rapper, I grew up on the joint where I like Jadakiss better than Jay-Z. I like DMX better than Jay-Z. I'm not the one that's gonna be with the fan favorite. The MCs and the poets that I like is the MCs and the poets that I like. Cause how people call Jay-Z and Eminem the greatest, that's what I think about, like people like DMX and Nas. Okay, and Rakim from Wu-Tang. Raekwon, excuse me, sorry, knock on that. You know, cause I remember people used to argue with me, and people still argue with me till this day. I will say that Raekwon is a better MC than Jay-Z. And you know what? I guess my spirit is there telling me that. When we take it back to real MC, and I don't care how hard body people want to jock Jay-Z and these new modern day rappers like Mace, but come on, man. Big Daddy Kane and Rakim and Kool Moe Dee, and I'll put the Blastmaster, KRS-One, and as many more other MCs I can name, I will call those MCs / rappers. As many more that I could name, right? Let me tell you something. Jay-Z only been in like 2 public battles that I could really name. What is it? Nas and D-Block? You know, like, so when people be talking about like he been doing subliminals, and to me, I'm gonna be real, he's not that much battle tested. A lot of people be thinking that Jay-Z's battle tested because he went against Nas. Like, to me, like a lot of people say Super Ugly was good, but come on, man, like I don't remember the date, but I remember the afternoon in Brooklyn when I bought Eat the Home in my crib, and I threw that shit in the CD player, and it started off with FJZ, FJZ. Let me tell you something. As I said, I grew up listening to hip-hop, reggae, dancehall, and a whole bunch of different, but it was like in my house, my mother and father, they listened to dancehall reggae when we was kids and cultural reggae, and a lot of popular, like, what is it, Barry White, Luther Vandross, you know, Whitney Houston, you know, like Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle, you know, what is it, what, Ashford and Simpson, like me and my brother, like, we found out some of these people, like, you know, John Hope, Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, because if our parents played this music when we was kids, you know. And like I say, like, it's not weird, but it's a spiritual side. Like, I heard Bob Marley and my mother Belly, okay? And for for three, I can name four people: Bob Marley, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, and Bounty Killer. I could always, I could never get bored listening to those people music, okay? Because to me, their music helped me get through days, whether you want to call them bad, good, sad, happy. So like, I don't, it was like, that's a vibration you could live with, you know, because a lot of people, that we do use the word in the dictionary music, but to me it's like, it's vibration, frequency, power, you know. Because for example, I'm gonna use the one of the main artists that in any generation that could make people go in a certain way is Tupac Shakur. I remember listening to him in Brooklyn. It was kind of simple, you know, because you was listening to different songs. But the older you got, I would say for me, because I remember, like, Pac was spitting some stuff. But then after that, when you actually listen to certain songs, and I remember other people that was listening to Tupac with me that wasn't black, I remember they start bouncing and asking me certain things about who is that. And I used to tell them, you know, it's an artist named Tupac Shakur. And I remember different people that wasn't black listening to it, and the vibration caught them. Because it's just like, for example, Wu-Tang Clan got fans in Japan and China and North Korea, as we know. South Korea. Now, a lot of people, which I'm not going to say that those people are culture vulturing. No. That music hit they heart. That joint hit they soul. And it's just like I'm going to be honest, I'm not very much in understanding a lot of Spanish words like my brother could. But I remember listening to some Spanish music when we was kids and teenagers. And then I got to a young man and I still listen to the song. And you know why? Because I like the vibration of the music, the sound of the music. You know, the beat. And then the vibration. Because it's, I always say, people, right? And this is why I say it gets to the point where when we listen to certain music and you watch people, they're battling each other. I want the skills, not the personality, okay? Because the only thing, and this is why I say stuff like this, because people don't like the hard truth. When I say I want the skills and not the personality, if people don't know skills, it's going to take people up there. But personality, of you dissing on somebody or talking about another singer or DJ or selector, that's hitting people personal feelings. So people don't like the truth. People gonna get physical. Okay? Let me respect and read the brother's comments. Okay. Rappers battle rap, but DJs battle tracks. Oh yeah, and you know, like, man, let me tell you, when I was a kid, I used to think Bass Odyssey, Stone Love, man, like, let me see, like in the Bronx, my cousins, well, two of my cousins used to be with Tech Life and them, and well, my moms used to go to a lot of Stone Love and stuff, you know, and a couple of my girl cousins used to go to Stone Love, and Stone Love is one of my best sounds, you know, and I would say shout out to Mighty Crown. And it got many other sounds in Brooklyn that I can't really remember off of the, like, top of the head, but New York City, Canada, And big up Toronto, you know? They keep the music alive, you know, the selector music. And when I say selectors, I'm talking about American DJs, people that DJ rap music, people that DJ pop music, people that DJ reggae, dancehall, all type of music. Cause even though it's a different name between a DJ and a selector, it's still the same thing, you know? Okay. And like sometimes a lot of people wouldn't understand, you know, the difference between a DJ and a selector. Nah, man, it's the same thing. It's just like, you know, a MC or a DJ, you know, like in the Caribbeans, what we say as in America, a DJ, that's what we say in the Caribbean islands, you know, Bounty Killer. People may look at it weird, but he's a DJ, you know. Beanie, he's a DJ, you know. Lady Saw, she's a DJ. Transia, she's a DJ, you know. So like, it's different, you know. And the people that put on their records, they are selectors, okay? Select, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, select the record on them. Okay. I tried going live yesterday. It was a glitch. Okay, no problem, brother. Well, whenever you go, I'm there. Okay. Listening. Okay, hold on. I'm here listening. My outtake. My grandchild's school shopping. If I don't comment, but I'm still here. Now, you all good, man. Bless your grandchildren, too, man. Don DeMarco, Elder, bless up. Okay. The dislike for another exchange shots in their bars, not their hands. They kept it strictly in the music. Nah, they kept it in the music, and that's why I tell people, like, ah, God forgive me, man. Like, people gotta understand, man, if you take, as soon as you take the shit outside of music and you take it to the streets, you better be able to handle everything that's gonna go with the streets, because there's no holds bar. Okay, it ain't no, oh, don't disrespect this, don't know, like, it ain't no rules in this street world, okay? So this is why I will always tell people that you want to get music, don't try to diss on somebody personally. Keep it musically, and then you know what, to be honest with you, don't diss on nobody. Just make your music, okay? And your music should be true. That was passion back then. Now it's emotion, you know. Now it's a bunch of emotional kids, and I don't call it really too much of music. Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like, yeah, when we get on, like, when you get on certain, like, you know, I ain't gonna really promote that over on the internet. When you get on certain, like, you know, gully side stuff where people know they could hold their emotions and they could control their emotions, it's all for it, you know, for real. Cause I always tell people, Nas and Jay-Z ain't never touch each other. Even though Mavado and Vybz Kartel ain't touch each other, Nas and Jay-Z will never touch Mavado and Kartel. Okay? Mavado and Kartel, Gully and Gaza was different. Okay? This ain't no QB versus Rockefeller. This is like Gully and Gaza is a different world, a different animal. Okay? A different beast, a different mode. So like, you could bring up all of the tracks that Jay-Z and Nas did to each other, right? It can't hold against 2 tracks with Mavado and Vybz Kartel. Cause like, Jay-Z and Nas ain't never really been friends, but Kartel and Mavado, they was cool at once, you know? And that's why sometimes, like, even though I ain't gonna lie, when Kartel and Mavado was going at it, you know, I ain't going front, you know, like, for real. There's always gonna be like, gully side, but I ain't like how the shit spill out, you know? It spill out too much, and it went too wicked to now, like, I love to see Cartel and Mavado on stage, and anybody that don't like that, forget you. You could be minding your own and still catch a stray. Man, that's the sad thing about it, and that's why I say some people, they'll you'll get hit with a basketball. You'll get hit with a soccer ball. You'll get hit and you don't even know, and you ain't got nothing to do with it, so that's the battles of life sometimes. Eldad, I just want to hear good music. That beef shit always been stupid to me. Shout out to the original Nah, for real. Shout out to the original B-boys and B-girls, man. For real. Shout out to Crazy Legs, man. For real. Shout out to Harlem. Shout out to the Bronx. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to Staten Island. Shout out to Long Island. Shout out to Westchester. Shout out to Rochester. Shout out to upstate New York. And shout out to New York City. I'm tired of people with that upstate New York versus New York City. I'm going to say this, man, for real. And I know many people going to hate me. At the end of the day, it's still New York. Okay? I'm tired of that nonsense, man. For real. Because it's people in the 315, they got love for the 718. Okay? Like, people be making like drama and stuff like that. It ain't no upstate. There's no New York City shit. I'ma always love upstate New York, Syracuse, Rochester. Like, no way. Hold on, please. Hey, brother. Thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, let me see. Proud, once the bullshit start, I'm out. Nas killed Jay-Z. Yes, he did, and shoot, come on, man. Nas killed half of Rockefeller. He took, like, as history go, man. Jay-Z had to recruit state property, and I'm never gonna act like state property. A lot of people sleep on state property, but I'm gonna always say this, man. State property, one of the nicest groups to me that was assembled in hip-hop history, okay? And if they would have stayed together, I'm gonna get back to y'all comments, but I gotta do this for real, because I really love state property. You had Beans, you had Freeway, you had Oskino, you had O'Milly, you had freaking Petey Crack, you had Chris, You had Neef. Let me tell you something. If anybody in their mother's belly say that those was whack MCs or rappers, you gotta have some type of hate in your blood, man. Cause I'm not gonna say like who's the best out of all of them, but everybody would say Beans, you know. But I would say don't sleep on Chris and don't sleep on Freeway, you know, and don't even sleep on Neef Buck, you know. Okay. Elder facts and the net and influence from online comments fueled a lot of what occurs within music today. People give the internet and social media too much power. Too much. For real, proud people has to become robots to the system. Not I. Elder 100. Candy program. The voluntarily program. Nope. Ah man, Tupac Trapped. I remember listening to that song back to back, and I'm trying to remember damn, what album was that on? Like the earliest album, yo. I'm trying to damn, that song, man. Woo, I remember that. I'm trying to remember the album that the song was on. They got me trapped. Shout out to Tupac, man. R.I.P., man. He made good music and vibration, for real. Music creates a frequency in your brain that controls your emotions, good or bad. Yes, sir. Facts, proud. All music has 4 beats rhythm. You know, music can be harmonic or demonic, depends on the spirit and frequency of the artist. Yes. See, they don't understand, right? The music is a tool. It depends on who's controlling the tool, whether you're going to fix something or whether you're going to destroy something. You know, but people don't realize that. I went plenty of Stone Love events. Nah, man, shout out to... Yo, I'm going to say, shout out to Brooklyn, for real, man. Because when I was a kid, even though I grew up in the South Bronx and Brooklyn later on, I remember when we was in kid, like, they used to talk about it in the Bronx, how much parties Brooklyn had, you feel me? And people used to leave Harlem, people used to leave the Bronx and go to certain spots in Brooklyn, you feel me? And this one, I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old, and, yo, I remember my uncles and then my mother and them telling me, like, yeah, man, they there going to the Sty, they there going Flatbush, they going to different parties. And the 90s was a time to grow up in Brooklyn and go to a lot of dance hall parties in Brooklyn. Okay, because one thing on the map in America and in the thing we call Earth, outside of the Caribbean islands, you have places like Brazil, and I will say nowadays they try Atlanta, Georgia, but it's not like, you know, places like Brooklyn, because Atlanta, Georgia do have a big Caribbean community. Forget what you see on the internet, okay? Go down there and witness it, okay? And Atlanta, Georgia do have a lot of people from the Bronx and Brooklyn, okay? Shout out to the West Side. Bankhead! For real. Shout out to ATL, man, for real. Shout out to Fulton County. Okay. Nowadays, you might get clapped for what you say in a song and you wasn't even dissing. How somebody misinterpret what was said and truly on them. URL fights stay breaking out. You can feel the energy in the air too, like somebody's gonna get swung on after 16 or 32. That's just the atmosphere. Yeah, it's a bunch of childish, I call it a bunch of childish ass little kids, because the thing is, like, if you want to, like, I hate saying this, man, because, like, when people want to do stuff like that, right, and you can't control your emotions, let me tell you something. Jah, please forgive me, but I'm going to say this. When people want to think like that, right? You should get popped outside before you even come in. Okay? Because when you a person that want to destroy good things, right? You should be handled accordingly. You should be handled a certain way. Okay? I'm not I'm not from this little retarded generation where people think they could do things and it's okay. I'm just not. I'm from order and control generation, man. I don't like the stupidity. For real. I just don't. Nah, busy signal for real. Wayne Marshall. Yeah, nah. Wayne Marshall was a don back in the early 2000s. Alliance crew all the way. What you mean? For real. A's all the way. Alliance. Man, what up? Yo. For real, man. Come on, man. And it's always big A. Always big Alliance crew. For real. Like, I always tell people, you gotta respect history, man. Before it was any Gully or Gaza, it was Alliance crew that made Gully and Gaza. Okay? It wouldn't be no Gully and Gaza if that big Alliance crew didn't stand. You know, like, and there's many other things before that, you know, that made Alliance what it is. But I always tell people, man, respect history, man, and respect what came before you, and respect what you don't know. Because if you don't respect what you don't know, you may not grow furthermore. For real. Yo, what you mean, Idonia? Come on, man, Idonia. And that's why I tell you, these people talk about they lyricists, right? Idonia will knock out a lot of these so-called rappers. Okay? Let me say it again. These dudes call they self-lyricists. Idonia will knock out a lot of these so-called rappers. Come on. Deva Brat. Yo. That's why I remember me and my brother like, yo, even though like we grew up listening to like rap music, they don't know how some Caribbean artists could. You call these dudes rappers? Well, you got a lot of Caribbean artists, right? That could spit too. They very smart. Okay? Like Buju don't rhyme no more like he used to, but Buju could go back in the bag. Okay? Capleton, Sizzler, okay? Like, that's what I be telling you. These ain't no little regular artists. They could go back in the bag and spit this rapid fire. Okay? Cartel could even do his thing. You know, and like we saying, he ain't even like my DJ like that, but he could do his thing too. Beanie. Okay? Come on, man. A lyrical monster. And like, come on, you don't want me bring up the ground god. Bounty. Like, come on, yo. You crazy? Bounty and R.I.P. Merciless, yo. Okay? R.I.P. Merciless. Yo. And to me saying this one person, it wouldn't be fair. Super Cat. Okay? Like, come on, man. State Property always gonna be one of my favorites. Nah, State Property was good, man. Like, I always wish they all stayed together. Cause I remember, I think it was XXL. I had them in a magazine, you know, in my XXL magazine, my Source magazine that time. And I just don't like how a lot of people in our communities do business when it comes to music, because there's a lot of people that's super duper talented, and one person I can name, two people I can name out the back right now, three people. Connie Diamonds, Christopher Rivers, Big Pun's son, and Peter Gunn's son, Corey Guns. Yo, let me tell you something. I don't care what you say about Connie. Connie Diamonds is a talented female. Yes, she may show some body and stuff, but she get in that booth, she could spit. Corey Guns, he could spit. Christopher Rivers, he could spit. Tractors on Tupacalypse. Okay, thank you very much, bro. They got me trapped. The artist is either the conduit or the vessel. I'm going to Eastern Parkway Parade this year. Yeah, I'm trying to go there this year too, man. I'm contemplating it, even though I've been like, cause shit, I've been an Eastern, like, I'm an Eastern Parkway veteran, you know, and like, shout out to all of my Eastern Parkway veterans out there, you know, like, I don't know, I'm gonna see how the you know, I'm gonna see how my vibrations is around that Badminton. I remember how Diz punched Math and the whole squabble broke out. The punchline ain't just bars. They punch for real. Oh, now I remember that. To be honest with you, Diz did that pussy shit because he had his people with him. You would have never tried that shit in New York or in the middle of America. Like, for real. I be tired. I always hated that shit. Diz did that pussy shit. They always want to call Math a bully and shit, but no. Diz would have never punched Math in the face if it was in New York. He did that joint because he had a lot of LA and California dudes backing him up. I always didn't like that soft pussy shit, okay? This is a pussy and always remain a pussy for that and many more stuff. For real. I don't know when a lot of people be thinking Disaster was some type of tough guy or anything. Get the fuck out of here. I'll spit on the floor. For real. I just don't like, nah. My generation was about cause and effect. You get what your hand called for. The energy you put out is what you'll get back. Junior Reed, Supercat, Shower Posse. Oh well, Junior Reed and Supercat and Shower Posse is, well, those are two different things. Cause Shower Posse is you know what. Junior Reed and Supercat are artists. Yeah, I won't really put them in the same sentence, you know? Yeah. DJ Kool Herc is from Kingston, Jamaica. He brought DJing to America via the Bronx. Well, to be honest with you, bro, a lot of people like to misinterpret and F up the history now. So, like, that's why I tell people, man, like, when you want to talk about, like, real hip-hop, a lot of people be disrespecting the culture, you know? And I be like, I'm from the Bronx where, like, 40% of your block is going to be Puerto Rican. Okay? And the rest 55%, you may got 50% black. Or you may got 45% black. Then you got 10% Dominican in certain neighborhoods. You know? But I always tell people, man, I grew up in neighborhoods where it was blacks and Puerto Ricans together. And yes, we did have our fights and arguments with each other. And a lot of people like to bullshit and lie nowadays and act like we didn't know. We did have our differences with each other. But you know what? We damn sure fought together. Okay? We fought together. We had our differences in the neighborhood. But when we went outside of that neighborhood or somebody came inside of that neighborhood, the blacks and the Puerto Ricans, we went down together. So when I see a lot of people I don't like people in they fake nonsense nowadays, how they call this racist and they be trying to start that black and Puerto Rican nonsense. I say, y'all don't know how stupid y'all sound. Cause as I say, I got cousins in Puerto Rico that's darker than me. Okay, and they will tell you they just speak Spanish, okay, but they black. But people would want to make up stuff. No, and you know what's the sad thing is, and this is I remember one time a Dominican dude told me don't call him black, and like I remember I called him black again, and we ended up having, you know, a Royal Rumble with each other, and I ain't talking about a good one, okay? And I remember after that day we hated each other, you know, and I don't hate him now. He still probably hate me till this day, but I remember like, in that time I would say I was ignorant, but he told me don't call him black again, and I was like, who this mother effer think he is? Like, I'm gonna call you black again, cause I seen his father, and his father darker than me, but he told me don't call him black, just cause he think that he was what he was, and it's sad how a lot of our people, they don't know themselves, and they think that wanting to be something else is like, nah, man, like, do you know how much fights it is on different coasts? Do you know how many people, like even in Cuba, the dark-skinned Cubans got to fight, and a lot of people that's dark-skinned in Cuba that's darker than me, yes, they know they're in Cuba, but they're not going to say they're Cuban. They're going to say they're black. The public would always want you to take away your culture and feed into something else. Let me tell you something. That shit is a disgrace. Okay? That shit is a disgrace, because it goes back to the point where they always want to tell, and I'm going to say this, you want to tell black Americans. I remember the phrase and the statement a lot of people used to say in America, go back to your country or go back to Africa. Let me tell you something. You got black people in America, they ain't going nowhere. Okay? They ain't going nowhere. Because this shit get deeper than slavery, okay? This shit get deeper than slavery. And this is why I tell people, like, if you think you want to play this, go deeper than slavery, and this go deeper than your little simple religion. Okay? Because when it comes to a religion, your religion is supposed to govern every single thing in the universe. And when I mean every single thing in the universe, I mean everything. When your religion has divisions and it has certain selections and certain parameters and certain little things that you can't do or get around or go this way or go that way, that's when Delvin has a problem. If I can't be free respectfully like the eagle flies high in the sky, please don't tell me to feed myself no lie. Because I want to fly, and I don't want nothing to get in my way of flying. And the reason why you gotta say respectfully, because these people don't have no common sense to understand it when you say you want to be free. If me saying I want to be free, I'm not asking for no freedom from nobody. No. Because let me tell you something. If I have to ask, I know I will never get it. I'm not asking you for nothing I deserve. Let me say it again. I'm not asking you for nothing I deserve, okay? This ain't an asking world where you think, and that nonsense they fed the world, asking you shall receive, or a closed mouth don't get fed. No. I ain't with taking what you think you gonna give me. Okay? Because what you giving me ain't gonna help me live. For real. Podcasters fuel the issue when they get the facts of hip-hop origins wrong, paying people to disrespect the culture. Oh, that's what they do every day. That's why sometimes I know I can't feed into too much of these people when I watch people talk about hip-hop or watch people talk about street stuff or gang origins. And I look at these people and I say, wow, they're lying. But you lying for what freaking attention? Like, for real, because trust, like, it's gonna come a time, but trust me, when it comes to this earth, we gonna expose a lot, okay? Ain't got no time to play with people in the nonsense, because a lot of things that people thought was the truth, it's all coming to an end. Y'all want to hear a joke a Spanish lady teacher I had in high school about blacks and Puerto Ricans. If not, I won't say it's no. Nah, go ahead, man. For real, go ahead. Say what you gotta say, elder. Like I was, like like shoot. As I tell people, man, like I try to learn from anything in this world. So go ahead. Pride. It's easy to hate others when you hate yourself. Yes, it is, and that's why people like clean your mental mind. Get that nasty, dirty hate out your mind. Get it out your soul and get it away from your aura. For real, cause you don't want that around your friends, your family. Nah, and you don't want that inside your mind. That shit is a nasty thing. They are no longer selling their souls. They're giving it away. And that right there, let me tell you something, elder. That shit, that's the part that hurts me in a weird way, cause I don't know, I have a different kind of heart. And that's why I tell people, like, a lot of people used to look at me weird and say, like, what kind of heart do you have? I say, I don't have a human heart. Like we don't call this lion heart for nothing, you feel me? It's a different type of heart, and this is a heart for the forgotten. Not only for humans, but what's forgotten on earth, on the spiritual and physical realm. You feel me? Lion heart is more than just two words, because you see two words in the physical realm, but on the spiritual realm, a lot of people won't never understand what lion heart is. And this is why I say, yeah, I will give certain teachings out, but I'm not going to give my life away to this world and think it's a joke. Okay? Because my mother and father gave me and my brother life, but this life that we live, when we grow, we learn. And when we learn, we grow. So you're not just going to give something that's real from the essence away to a majority of people that going to throw it around like it's confetti. I don't play with that joint, man. That's why I say I can't teach Rasta stuff on this internet, because I remember in the days as a teenager, and even now, like, you disrespect this joint I love called Rasta. I don't play with that. You feel me? Because we not no religion. We not no religion. And a lot of people would like to talk about the origins of their way of life or their religions. But let me just really remind y'all one thing that a lot of people don't like to admit. A lot of Rasta men and Rasta women died just to say Rastafari, okay? So with that, I will never play with none of you humans on this earth. I take that shit super serious. Okay? So, when you think you can have your ice gold and green, or red, gold, and green like they will say, but we say ice gold and green. Okay? Like black, gold, and green. Let me tell you something. They lock mostly the men up more than the women in Jamaica and a lot of other Caribbean islands, just because they had dreads, okay? Some of the officers and some of the other people, they shot Rasta men. They used to tell in the Caribbean islands and in Jamaica mostly how Bunny Wailer made that song Black Heart Man. They depicted us as dark creatures. Okay? They depicted us as monsters. Okay? So, like, this ain't never no joke. This ain't no joke. I don't joke with nobody when it comes to this Rastafari. Even from my mother and father that gave this to me, I don't joke with them. I don't joke with nobody. Okay? Because I watch a lot of people think this shit is funny to ever disrespect Rastafari. But let me tell you something. You disrespect something that you don't even know what you're doing. That's all I'm going to say. You disrespecting something that you don't even know what you're doing, and trust me, it would be your downfall. Because I don't care what nobody say, closest to the monks on this earth, Rastafari showed you peace and love. Okay? And to the highest mountains of peace and showing love. Because a lot of people may say, like, yeah, the Rasta man and the Rasta woman, we burn fire. But let me tell you something. We have an understanding and an overstanding and an understanding of our mystical journey in this universe on earth to even know that our so-called enemy that made his self and herself our enemy, that we pity them. Because like a lot of them say, they don't know the I, and they will never know the I. Okay? Because they could always do what they want in the public. But that's why you will never see a movie anywhere in this world about Rastafari. Because let me tell you something. If you ever see a movie, it will be brimstone and fire on earth, okay? Because Rastafari is nothing to play with in the universe as a circuit. Okay? It ain't nothing to play with. That ice gold and green, that red gold and green, those colors are energies and frequencies that live every day. My locks, my nati, this is my power. This is me. This ain't fashion. And how they look at it, and they look at the young youth them, you could be scared because you're supposed to be scared. Okay? You're supposed to be scared. Okay? I'm not going to talk no friendly, mystical lies. You are afraid because you are supposed to be afraid. Because you know your heart is guilty. You know your soul is dirty. That's how they could teach people about religion and all that. I will tell you like this. All the religions that they teach around the world, right? Rasta will never brag and boast about a religion. That's why I could firmly stand and say, I don't care about no religion around this world, but I will show your religion respect if it will help a universal cause for all people. But if your religion is controlling humans and putting people in certain order, I can't have no respect for that. I must always fight against that. Because that's my natural nature of life. Of fighting against a machine that will down press anything. Okay? For real. So like, you don't send us to war. We was born in war. Okay? Just like everybody else. But they just shame to admit they living in a warfare. Okay? Shoot. Big up to the musical youth past the Dutchie on the left hand side. Oh yeah, man, I used to love that song when I was a kid before I even knew what smoking was. My grandchildren said peace and respect, sir. Oh man, excuse me if I hope I didn't say what's the name? I hope I didn't say a bad word. Peace and love to your grandchildren and them, for real, cause I don't like to I don't like to use like, you know, even though it's not correct for any of us to use any type of bad language in the universe itself though, but one thing that I don't like adults cursing around children. That's like, I don't like that. I very much I hate that. You know, that's one thing that I hate. You know, and before I used to be very strict about it with adults that do that, and I used to take it very, to certain places, because I just think that you got to give the youth a chance to grow, and it's not to the adults to make them just jump into different worlds when they should live inside the world that they're comfortable in living in as kids. You have to let kids be kids. We seek truth before words, peace before noise. It's the way of life. Yes. Before the smoke, before the ritual plant. We say a prayer to Haile Selassie. Our hair is our crown. No, it's always, like I don't want to glorify this, but I'm going to glorify this. I tell you, man. I used to get into fights. People disrespect this joint. You feel me? For real, like, and I don't do it no more, but I'm still here, 42 years old, but no, I calm down a lot, but I didn't let people disrespect Rastafari, because four things that taught me peace in this world was my mother and father, martial arts, and Rastafari. Okay? If I never had them four things, I would probably be dead or in jail for life. I showed my grandchildren, y'all here, and she said she loved it. She said it looked strong. Nah, man, blessed to her, man, and more life to her, man, and more growth to her in her life, Shine like the sun, because you just are just like the sun. For real. Peace and love and light to the grandchildren, elder. Nah, man, let me tell you something. I tell people, man, let me tell you something. I'm going to get into something that people probably think is random, but it has something to do with the same thing of what we all talking about right now. And this is why I tell people, if you ever really just take time to listen, you can learn a lot. Now, in Rastafari is one word that you could say that many people around the world heard a lot, and that's one love. Many people heard many Rastas say that, and I remember being a young teenager, and as I say, if proud or open-minded teach me a word right now, I might ask them like 10 questions about the word that they taught me, you feel me? I'm going to keep on asking them stuff about it. If we was face to face, I'm going to keep on asking them until I actually got it down inside of me. Now, I remember hearing one love like a lot, as kids, even right now. But I remember hearing it as a kid and a teenager. I remember one day I wrote it down on a piece of paper. And I remember I thought like one love was my family and my close friends. And like the Rasta community that we grew up around. Then the older you got, you start seeing that one love was kind of deeper than what you thought. Because you start looking at life in a different way. Because, like, a lot of people are scared to admit this, but you look at life in certain ways of how you was raised and who raised you, your upbringing. It may be a little percentage of people that may grow up in a community and they may look another way from their community, but then it has a big majority of humans on this earth. How their community is how they may grow up. And in that saying, right, You may have a drug-infested community, and you will have some people in that drug-infested community, they want to grow up and be trappers. You got some people who want to grow up and be cops. You got some people who want to grow up and be EMT workers. You got some people who grow up, they want to be D-boys and D-girls. You got some people who want to grow up, they'll want to open libraries. You got many people in the neighborhood who want to grow up and do different things to fix the community, or fix their life, or fix people that lived in their community. Now, this is why I always say in certain ways, like, yes, we may get mad how Chicago is. We may get mad how California is. We may get mad how Detroit is. We may get mad of how many different states in America is. And I remember when I was looking at the word one love that I wrote up on the paper, a lot of people would like to say, like, yes, a lot of these people would like to come together, but the only people that you know that people wouldn't really like to come together is the police. You know, because it goes back further in our history as a people. But this is why people have to realize, in America and different places around this world, different cultures look at the police different. Not every culture look at the police different. And some people do not want to understand whether you're in the streets or whether you're not in the streets. Many black people in America doesn't trust law enforcement. And if you don't get that, you have a stupid way of thinking. Okay? You think that it's just street people in America that don't trust law enforcement, when it wasn't street people in the 60s and the 50s getting beat up by police? Okay. And this is why I say, when you don't want to look back in history and you want to deny and put a band-aid on certain things that happened in history, nah. I remember one day this lady said, oh, people should just go with anything that law enforcement said. I said, excuse me, miss, the last time I checked, right, law enforcement are human beings, so they are able to make errors, right? She said, yes, Delvin. I said, so if something is not right, something is not right. You must not force things in this world. Now, we're going to get back to the one love. People in our so-called communities, right, whether people went up and grew up to be a police officer, a detective, you know, a basketball coach, a lot of these people went away from the community. Some people stayed in the community, but we made our communities bad to where some people say famous shit that people like to say. And this is what I tell you, a lot of people, they like to say mental health, right? But let me tell you something. A lot of people use this word mental health just because it sounds good, or just like they like to use it. But they don't like to see that the head case and the problems that we have in our urban communities and many communities around the world. When people get rich, right? Or they get a little financial gain, and people, they leave the so-called, I say the so-called hood because I have a whole bunch of different things where I could break down to show you how our so-called communities really don't care for each other. And whether you black, white, Chinese, or whatever, we all are killing each other in our communities, but we acting like we're living. Okay? For real, because it's easy to diss on people. It's easy to diss on certain people in our communities. The cops, the strippers, the drug dealers, the homeless people. But we don't see that all of these people, right, grew up in our communities. So I always say, where's the love at? Where do we come to a choice? Because people always come up with some stupid joint, right? See, I always like to cover all angles. When people like to be smart and say, oh, they bring cops from different neighborhoods and different communities. Well, you telling me you couldn't be a police in your neighborhood? You couldn't be an EMT person in your neighborhood? You couldn't be a fireman in your neighborhood? You couldn't be a basketball coach in your neighborhood. You couldn't get a baseball team in your neighborhood. No, but you get rich, right? And move to Beverly Hills. You get rich or move to the Poconos. You get rich, move to somewhere in New Jersey. You get rich, move to Arizona. You get rich, move to Miami. You forget about you growing up in Detroit in the slums. You forget about you growing up in the slums in Puerto Rico. You forget about you growing up in the slums in Brooklyn. You forget about the love, the one love that you used to have when all of y'all grew up in this community together. Before he turned the cop, before she turned the stripper, before he was a stick-up boy, before she was a bartender, before he started working at that library, before he went to jail. Everybody just start forgetting the older y'all got. And it turned into what we all see right now into our communities, where people are scared to go back in the hood. And when people go back into the hood, they say, what are people doing in the hood? They say people are stupid. But people are stupid, right? When you still got your family there. You still got your mother there. And when I say that, right, I'm not talking about the rappers. I'm talking about all of us. They forgot to say the truth. Okay, because it ain't nothing about if an entertainer mother live in the hood still. It ain't nothing if somebody regular mother live in the hood still. Nah, I'm tired of the joint where people want to talk about, no, we grew up out of the hood. Why are you growing out of the hood when you can't clean up the hood, but you still use the hood as a dumping bag? And you still got that same thing going on in our communities, but it's nothing changing in our communities, but people want to still blackball our communities. And when I talk about people still want to blackball our communities, I'm not talking about the government, or I'm not talking about law enforcement, or I'm not talking about politicians too only. I'm talking about us. We blackball ourselves, but you don't think that that's crazy? You don't think that's crazy? You talking about yourself, but you think that moving away from it makes you look good than the people that's still there. Let me tell you something. But then you want to diss on people that live in the projects. You want to diss on people that live in duplex houses. You want to diss on people that live in the buildings. Let me give you a news flash, people. That's your family. That's your people. But people will always like to glorify, oh, my family live there. Oh, my community live there. Like, yeah, I ain't been back to the hood in days. And then once I go there, I'm going and staying. And I'm staying for a little while. I'm not staying that long. You know, I'm just in and out. Okay, if you in and out, I hear a lot of people say that over the years, right? So you know what that means? If everybody is in and out and nobody really cares and nobody can really stay in their community, we turned our communities into Afghanistan. We turned our communities into Baghdad. We turned our communities into Kuwait. Now, you still want to believe that you're talking good about your people? And this is why I say our people like to be delusional, where we would like to point the finger at our people, right? But when you're pointing the finger at your people, you're still pointing the finger at yourself, okay? Because what makes you better than them? Just because you bought a house somewhere in Beverly Hills? Because you bought a crib in New Jersey? Because you somewhere on South Beach? You shopping on Rodeo Drive, so that makes you better than the people that's still living in Brooklyn, Detroit, across the tracks in Baltimore, you know, in Washington, D.C. And this is what I like. I don't like that. And then you have people that so-called celebrities. This is why I tell you, I don't care about none of them celebrities, okay? Because if you listen to my videos when I first started this YouTube podcast, then I said I'm taking all of them down. Okay? I'm taking all of them down. Because if you think that I'm a big up celebrities, right? And I wouldn't bring any one of them down to their knees, and I will disrespect the community But I'm a bigger stupid celebrities. You gotta be stupid. I'm from the South Bronx for real. I'm from Brooklyn for real. And if people want to say that they're from Brooklyn or the Bronx for real, well, you know what? Being from Brooklyn and the Bronx for real and really loving your community is really saying F them celebrities that think that they could point the finger at the same community they came from, and F everybody that think they could point the finger at low communities. Okay, it got to come to a point where you got to learn that we cannot put ourselves in the dirt and then you there mixing that dirt around, and then you want people to say the ghetto, the hood. Nah, I'm not with that. I'm not with that. Because this is where it comes to the point where, see, y'all don't know, right? That anyhow, in any given time, America could bring military forces in any hood in America and wipe people away. Okay? But y'all keep playing stupid, excuse me. Y'all keep playing stupid. Y'all keep playing. Keep playing. Because what you gonna think? What you think? What you think? Just because you in America and you think you American citizens, you think it won't happen? Huh? You think it won't happen? Let me tell you something. If we here in America, right, and we do what we gotta do as, like, some people don't like it, but we are bullies around this world, okay? We are the world's bullies. America, we are the bullies of the world, okay? We are, it's a bad comparison to compare, but we are Debo before the knockout, okay? We are Debo before the knockout. And a lot of people don't like to admit it, but the people don't like to admit it, you living in denial, okay? And I know we like to say that we are Earth protectors. Yes, we do protect the Earth, but the real shit is we are bullies in America, okay? We how we look at how you take a block over in the hood and you set up, and that's all I'm gonna say, because I'm not gonna be on here like, detailing how you take over something, or how how we used to say how you lock something down, because that's not something you see it on the news, and you see it on certain things, that it happens. Okay, let me see. Transition from poor to rich can't ease when one comes from. Everyone has a timeline. Yes. Okay, let me see. I got a story about a friend of mine's talking about he don't F with the police. We haven't spoken 10 years because I don't agree with his stupidity. Nah, and that's why I tell you, like, yo, let me tell you something. You know how much black men can't talk to each other just because you will bring up a conversation about the police? I tell them, like, yo, I'm a Rasta first, and I'm a rebel, and I'm a man, okay? And it's no man in this world could tell me who I am. It's no man in this world could make me feel less than I am. Because, like Deion Sanders said, I'm a paraphrase. You ain't make me, so you can't break me. Like, get that nonsense out of here. Like, one thing, like, I'm going to keep on saying, the black man need to learn how to teach each other again. You you're teaching each other too much stupidity. For real. Okay, irony is everything one disses usually mirrors self. It takes one to know one. Proud. Proud. It takes one to know one. Yes. Nah, like, because let me tell you something, man. Let me be honest to you. I ain't saying my life is perfect. I'm not saying my life is not perfect, but if I could have changed my life and I could snap my fingers and do this again, I'd have probably been a Navy SEAL or a firefighter. Hold on 1 minute, please. Yeah, I'm still here. Hold on 1 minute, people. Okay, 7, 24. Okay, let me see. 24. Hold on 1 minute, please, Elder and Proud. Well, you're not coming to work today?
Well, he was. He went out there and gave me $2,000.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, bro. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Okay. No, like, and I believe in my mind since I was a kid, like, it has many different, people call it the hood, the ghetto. I believe that it could clean up. You know, like, I believe and I know. You know, I remember a lot of people told me as a teenager that that'd take my life, but I'm not thinking about that. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about further generations actually in our communities living, you know, because a lot of people, don't think properly, and they would like to go with the public eye of saying certain things, but I'm going to say this to a lot of people, and I don't care how people take this. There's a lot of people in gangs, whether you're in America or the Caribbean islands or in Africa. They're not bad people. Because people must forgot when I said our community, there's a lot of young kids, there's a lot of adults in our communities, and people may think this is crazy, but let's just be honest. There's a lot of people in our communities that are peer pressure into gangs. And I like when people like to lie, right? And say that they're not scared. No, you are scared, okay? And I like I know you're scared, okay? And for you to act brave is very nice, you know, very like my mom's used to say when me and my brother was kids. You know, I love you, ma, wherever you at too, you know. Shout out to you. Have fun today. I love you, lady. My mother used to say, you know, very courageous of you. You know, and a lot of people would think that it's very powerful for them to say everything is okay, or they're not peer pressure into this gang, or they know what they're doing. No, it's a lot of adults that you look at that's at the, I'm 42 years old. You got adults from the age of, let me see, how could I put it? Let me see. Because this is, some people will look at this as sad, right? And this is why I tell you, I don't play with that joint of people talking about California gangs are generational. If their gangs are generational, it's still generational genocide. I don't care how you want to put a spin on it, okay? Because it ain't like what they are, the elites and gangbanging. Like, so I'm like, and this is why a lot of people hate me in the world, you know, because it goes deep. When they say that that's their people's, I always say that's your people's, right? But that so-called big homie, and you know the famous saying that they say your big homie gonna give you a gun, and next thing you know you gonna shoot that gun off because you love your big homie, right? But you go to jail for 25 years, or you go to jail for 10 years. Let me tell you something. This past 7 or 10 years ago, a lot of our friends from elementary school and junior high school and high school just for coming home from jail, like the past 10 to 7 years. And it's good, but it's also very sad, you know, because you got some dudes you ain't see since you was 21 years old. I'm 42 years old now. I got some friends that I'll never see again in my life. Okay? And they'll never see me again. R.I.P. Dion. You know, like, I remember my lion. Damn. I remember before I met my lion, you know, like, he just finished doing 3. And then I remember he used to smoke Black and Miles and I used to smoke Bud, and he telling me like, yeah, you can't smoke weed, you know, so I understand and all that. So I still used to there burning my Bud, you know, he there with his Black and Miles. I remember we used to go to the store. I give him a pack of Black and Miles because he just came home and shit really fresh. And even though he knew, I would say he knew Brooklyn more than me, you know, but he, and this is what I tell you with me and my lions, like, somebody may know English and you know Spanish, you feel me? But at the end of the day, we're gonna help each other out, you know? We didn't grow up and like with Lionheart, we don't play that you watching your brother or your sister suffer and you actually playing. That's how some people say a sin. Well, in Lionheart, that's a sin. Okay? You can't have your brother and your sister hungry and you don't feed them. We don't. I don't know how some people raised up. You know. I don't know how some people raised up, but that's the ultimate disgrace. Where I'm from, you know, you can't have your brother and sister hungry. And even if, let me tell you something, we grew up on rough trials where you had you had to make something out of nothing. So if you didn't have no food and your brother or sister want to eat, you better make a way, and you better make a way not by hurting nobody, okay? And this is why I say you always got to be creative with a thinking mind. See, a lot of people used to come up with the stupid joint, and this is one thing I always told every single one of my lions. We will never hurt anybody to take care of somebody else, okay? I'm going to say it again. We would never hurt anybody to take care of somebody else. I don't play that. Because when you got to hurt somebody, right? Somebody moms and pops is crying. They got to bury their daughter and son. And y'all okay eating, right? Or y'all caught a lick. Or they gotta be there in the hospital all night for 4 hours. They gotta be there. Now, as I was saying, you know, let me get back to me and Dion. You know, I was burning my weed. You know, he was burning his Black and Miles. And remember, I used to cop him his Black and Miles, you know, to the point where it was cool. You know, to the point where I was getting my bud, you know. I wouldn't really say for free, but he made it in a way to where he didn't burn, you know, he didn't burn because it was still on papers and shit, you know. And I was very strict of him, like, you know, burning and drinking. Cause I'm not gonna watch you get back in trouble and shit. I'm not gonna make you do that, you know. So he ain't burn or he ain't drink, you know. Smoked his Black and Miles though. He loved his Black and Miles. 2 years later, he ended up being in Prospect Park in Brooklyn. And somebody passed away that night. And the police, they picked my lion up. And he ended up serving 8 years. And I remember when he was locked up and he used to write my crib and call my house. I remember sometimes he was more happier than the people that was out. And it was like, damn, yo. You don't know how sometimes you could be around so much people, right, and your spirit down. And these people could be having fun, but you feel down. And everybody could be feeling down and you feel good. And I remember I still got some of his letters that he wrote me till this day. He dead now, you know. R.I.P. my lion, you know. Sorry for that too. But he ain't had to go either, you know, because I watch. He gave the system 11 years of his life, you know, and I would be honest to you. Him and me had dreams and goals to do a lot of things in the so-called entertainment world, but to be honest with you, sometimes God in the universe would have different plans for all of us. And I gotta look in my black box where I keep my certain letters. And I'm read one of his letters one day on the live. And just to show you how different stuff was back then to right now. It was a different time, because let me tell you something. I had days where I was living in Brooklyn, right? And I go open the mailbox. You know, I had messed up days, you feel me? I'm not gonna lie. I had days where I'm wrestling with my mind on the left side and the right side, and I'm fighting the world. And I remember certain days I'm looking inside my mailbox. I look in my mailbox, there's a letter from him. I used to go upstairs, you know, roll up, open the letter with a knife, and read it. You know, and reading the letter sometimes it used to be like 3 pages, you know, front and back. And I used to read his letter, and I'm gonna be real to you. Sometimes it's like God was playing into like both of our lives and even all of our lives, because I remember he used to say, yeah, I know you probably out there stressing and shit. And I'm there like, and I used to like, I'm reading the joint and I'm there like, I'm stressing right now. You know, like, you wrote this in the letter, but I'm stressing right now. So I remember when I used to be there reading the letter, and like, I had to, you know, like, I'm writing him back. So like, I used to always, like, you know, get my pen and my paper and like write, you know, what's going on with the outside world. You know, and what's going on with us and how everybody doing, you know. And I remember I used to write how I'm feeling right there at the moment. And I remember when he used to write me back, be like, man, like, Delvin, like, stop stressing, you feel me? Like, don't worry about it. It's gonna be all good. Like, and let me tell you, everything is not gonna plan out how you want it to be, you know? Because we had a lot of plans, and I would say we didn't execute them, you know? But I'll say this. We tried to keep each other up, though, all of us. And Dion was cool. You know, like, shout out to all my Trinidadians out there, man. TNT, man. Trini to the bone. Me, I don't know what fake love is, you know? I don't know what fake love is. I don't know how to... If I don't rock with you, I don't rock with you. And if I rock with you, we building mountains. And we gonna build the cave so we could go in. Hold on, let me read the brothers in them comments. Proud facts and look like us, everybody people. Plainclothes cops be everywhere. Alright, well, he cussed me out because I told him to stop saying F the police, now you need them. Oh no, man, let me see, hold on, I gotta read. Somebody stole my boy car and I pulled up to the house. He was going crazy. They stole his Benz and his phone, and he said, bro, can I use your phone? I said, you wanna hold up. want to use your phone. So I said, you want to call? Cause calling. Hold on. Somebody stole my boy car and I pulled up to his house. He was going crazy. They stole his Benz and phone. He said, bro, can I use your phone? So I said, you calling cause you don't F with the police. Oh well. I say this. He ain't had no I don't know. Let me keep my mouth shut on that one. Let me keep my mouth shut. The many that say that do if they aren't in uniform themselves. He cussed me out because I told him, see, stop saying F the police. Now you need them. Woo! Proud facts. Plain coast cops be everywhere. Well, I say this too, man. Like we used to say when we was teenagers, you smell like a pig. And that's all I'm gonna say. For real. You smell like a pig. And this is why we always used to say, not Jay-Z and them. Okay, I ain't with that Jay-Z. But I say it's a secret society. And all we ask is trust. Strangers we don't know. You know? Either you are good or you are bad. If you are good, you are a Rasta. If you are bad, you are Babylon. Well, and they all over. Everyone working will go hungry. One who won't work will live long. Condolences. Man, like, this world done made me laugh so much over and over and over and over that I tell you, only like, you just have to keep on praying for good and keep on wishing for good. Keep on keeping your spirits up, you know, and don't fall low. Don't even make yourself beat yourself, you know, because nobody can beat you up worse than you could beat yourself. You know, nobody could do that worse, and you hurt yourself more than anybody could ever hurt you. And that's is very low. Because some people will want to see you down. And trust me, when you down, they would want to see you beat yourself down even more. Don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the web. Gotta buy me some I'm gonna buy me some juice, some Turkey Hill fruit punch juice later on. I don't know, I like the Turkey Hill fruit punch. That what is that? I like the lemonade one and I like the fruit punch one. I do like the lemonade and the pomegranate one. That one is okay with some ice, you know. I can't front on those three flavors. The other ones, they be having some peach ice, some what is it, the other one they be having? The peach ice. They have not the Lipton one, because the Lipton one, that's the Pure Leaf one. Pure Leaf I like the Pure Leaf, the lemonade, you know. A lot of people like Pure Leafs. I don't really hate it, but I ain't gonna be like buying it every day. I ain't gonna be buying it at all too much anyway, because to be honest, I'll probably buy it per leaf drink like maybe 2 times out of 365 days of the year, or maybe no time, you know. Now I really try to, I don't really drink that much store-bought juices. I don't really drink that much, and if I do, I really try to stick to, like pure fruit juices, like either orange, lemonade, or like some certain fruit punch, fruit juices are like the worst. They are the worst, because they pack a lot of sugar. And I know a lot of people don't like to admit it, but I'm going to just say it, and I'm going to keep saying it, and we all should say it. Sugar is not good for the human body. Turkey Hill does have some good stuff. No, I love turkey. I like the fruit punch juice and the lemonade and the pomegranate and lemonade, and I like Turkey Hill butter pecan ice cream, and I would say possibly almost a lot of their Turkey Hill ice creams I would eat, actually. Cause what is it? They have, I never tried Rocky Roads in Turkey Hills, the chocolate, but I know that will taste good. And Neapolitan in Turkey Hill, I never tried that. I never tried strawberry yet in Turkey Hill, but I know how like a company, for a fact, like you be like, yo, you know what? All their products to taste good, but then it has those brands where you like certain stuff. Cause I remember me, you, and a whole bunch of people on your page was talking about that, how it got a product, right? Like, I think you was there talking about the holsters of certain things that you don't like with the holsters and certain things you do. It got certain brands out there that we made like 50-50, or we made like 55% to 45%, or it may be 60-40, because look, I like the Arizona brand too. And that's the thing, like, let me see, what is it? In Arizona, the juice, right? They got Arnold Palmer. They got the regular, like, lemonade one. They got, let me see, they got the fruit punch. They got grape. They got the mango one. They got the ginseng one. I'm trying to remember other flavors from Arizona. And it's a crazy thing too, but I don't like the flavor. Yo, Arizona in 1999 and right now, the taste is different. It's different. And cause like everybody in New York City, right? Let me tell you something, man. It's 3 brands, but I'm gonna name 3 brands in New York City that it's Ocean Spring, it's Arizona, and hold on. Let me see. And Tropicana. And Dial. Like those 4, right? Growing up in New York City, you want a good fruit juice, you going back of the store. Everybody, mad people the Arizona became famous, I'm going to tell you like this, in like Brooklyn and the Bronx. Because when you used to go in the store sometimes, you walk in the store, right? You see the Arizona poster on the store door. You see the Arizona poster on the, like, down the block. You see the Arizona 99 cent or 105. You used to see the Arizona sign everywhere. Okay, to the point where, let me tell you something, and I just seen that they have ginseng fruit punch. The watermelon is an undercover hit. Okay, let me tell you something. And I'm not promoting Arizona juice really, but shout out to all of the people that, like, the watermelon, I'm gonna say my 3 favorite on the low of Arizona is watermelon, grape, and fruit punch. For a mango, Like that one right there, that's like a secret killer. Okay, mango is a secret killer because ain't nothing like a hot day and you got a mango with some ice, a Arizona mango with some ice. And you know what? To make it even better, I'm gonna give y'all a little secret for real, cause I'll show you it later. Like I call it a cool down. You know, you get some. I don't know if you ever had the fruit ices, the one with the fruits inside. You get those, you chop them up, right? You get some crushed ice. You get a hammer, like I got right there, a hammer. You know, get a hammer, put it in a plastic bag, 2 Ziploc plastic bags, and you crush that ice. If you ain't got a freezer that crushes the ice itself, and if you still using ice tray, shout out to Brooklyn and the Bronx, you know, still cracking that ice tray, you crack those ice, right? You get you a good glass, and you mix, take a bowl first, and you mix those ices, the frozen icy, and the crushed glass. Yeah, this is the hood version of your Italian ice, though. You know, hood version. Now, this way it makes it even better, okay? I'm gonna show you how you make it even better. You get the big can of fruits if you want to make it quick, okay? Because you can use natural fruits, but this is to make it quick. You get the big can of fruits in the can, okay? No matter what company. You put that in the bowl with the ice, and you put that in the bowl with the crushed up ices, because you're going to crush up the ices. You're going to crush it up, not too fine. Make sure it's like not crushed up too much like margarita crushed ice, you know, but make sure that they still is like a little rocky, okay? I'm going to put it to you like this. How they how they chop the fruits up when we buy fruits in the can, make sure you keep the ice and the ices big and chunky like that somewhat. You mix all of that in a bowl, right? And this is where, and Proud, you may like this. You get 3 sodas that you can use to make this nice. You get 7-Up, Sprite, or ginger ale. And ginger ale that you get Canada Dry, okay? You get Canada Dry ginger ale. You get your glass cup. Fill it up 30%, okay? And then you go get you a spoon and you scoop your mixture of icy, and your fruits into that cup. And let me tell you something. You get some fresh cherries and strawberries and just throw it on the top. Let me tell you something. A hot day or any given day, and you gonna love that. You can get a straw. You can get like if you wanna eat it like a dessert, but it's gonna still be liquidy and it's still gonna be chunky to where you could use a straw or you could use a spoon. And you know how some ladies are. Some ladies will grab a fork, you know, cause let me tell you this. And even if you have like a bigger bowl, a bigger portion, you may use a fork, because trust me, when you have pears in there, you could use many different things. And this is things to where I say, right, the reason why I name it a cool down, because in this heat, right, you got things like, what is it, watermelon, cucumbers, ice, you know, that we use to keep cool, grapes, you know, but you can make many different drinks to keep yourself cool. And I will say this, you're gonna feel good. You're gonna love it, because it ain't gonna be like you gonna do it one time, you know. You're gonna do it a lot of times, you know, and it's something that you can make with like family, and then it's something that you can make if you're having a little get together. And like for the people, like for my people that like they brown water, yeah, you can add your brown water, you know. You can add your different waters, you know. But I'm not going to promote that and like, you know, telling people to put that in. But for my people that love their brown water, you can add that in too, you know, to have, as like one of my homegirls would say, a delightful drink, to pack a punch to your drink and punch yourself, and those that like to have a little drink, because even though it would be good to do it in the summer mostly, you could do it any time of the year. And that's the thing about, like, I would say food lovers. You may do anything any time of the year. Cause sometimes I really don't think a lot of food is in, like, you could do it in seasons. Like, no, cause I would say if it's cold, right? And you want ice cream, you want ice cream. Like, forget all of that nonsense of people talking about ice cream for the summer or this. Like, no, man. Like, stop letting people, like, make you live in a box. Okay? And that's one thing that I don't like the world. People be wanting people to be comfortable with things that they like. No, be comfortable with what you like. Stop being comfortable with things because people want you to do that because they like you doing that. No. Okay, let me see. The Pure Delight juice in the form of a slushy or a shaved ice is just as good. Well, I gotta try that too, and that's another thing that I used to like to do when I was like younger. I used to like to try a lot of different juices from all over. Like, I done probably had so much different, like, juices that came out in different bodegas, like, for real, because I remember, like, I tried to, like, before, how all of us grew up, the first flavor you gonna try in the hood is fruit punch or cherry, like, that's what everybody gonna attack for, because when we was kids, cherry and cocoa was the two famous ices. For real. I don't give a fuck. And then after that, it became, later on when we became older, mango became famous, And then after that, I remember when, what is it? I remember when they had the American flag icy, yo. The white, red, and the cocoa. A lot of people used to like that, but I remember they used to be cheap on the cocoa. And then they used to have the cocoa mango. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Yo. Cocoa mango. Let me tell you something. You ain't never know people that ain't know, right? Coconut icy and mango icy together. Bada bang, bada boom, bada bang, bang, bang. Very nice. And proud shout out to you, man, because you got 3 more days for your, I don't even know what, to be honest, what you're going to call that live, what we going to, because I've been thinking about it for the past few days. I'm like, damn, yo, and I probably didn't even recollect, if you even said a name, but if you let Mountain Dew Cold Red get slushy, it tastes similar to cherry ice or the Voltage, which is blue. It is like a blue raspberry ice. Okay, I don't know what to title it yet. That's what I was there thinking about the past few days. I was like, yo, cause I'm there like, yo, I remember Proud Joint coming up, and me, like, when stuff, I don't know, my mind does it automatically when stuff come up or anything in the world, like my mind always reminds me of certain things, and it's like I don't know, it's like a calculator, like, that just be printing stuff in my head, so that's why I tell people, like, certain things that I don't get humans forget, and certain things that you do, I don't get that, because we grew up on a process of certain things you don't do, and there's certain things that you do. But okay, yeah, you and Coffee came up with the concept. I just gotta figure out a title for it, but it's still on for the 7th. Excuse me. No, well, let me see. I don't, damn. Well, damn, I don't, let me see. I don't know. You got the name of Club PMC, so I'm trying to think, a food name for that joint. I don't know. I'm not that I used to be okay at making names for a lot of things, you know. And I guess to be honest with you to say, like, and the reason why I say I used to be good, because I know that when it came to me making names, I was good at it, but I don't think that I'm good like I used to be when I was a teenager. Because even like even me and my mother and our father, like we don't call our mother and father like how everybody else calls their mother and father, you know? Nah, we made a name for our mother and father. Still the simple name as a mommy and a daddy, as people will say, but it's just a little unique. But I don't know, wow. My mind really thinking about a name. Man, what you mean, bro? I remember having the long boys that they sell up here, right? In America. I remember the first time, like, come on, man. I growing up or having Caribbean parents and Caribbean in my blood. Like I grew up around I grew up around Caribbeans, and a lot of stuff that people buy in stores, as in sweets and stuff or pastries. Like I grew up getting the shit firsthand, like black cake, cause I done taste Jamaican black cake, Trinidadian black cake, St. Thomas black cake, Antiguan black cake, and to be honest with you, they all four different, okay? And Jamaican sweets, or like in the West Indians say, a lot of people don't really call it sweets. They'll say sweetie, or like, because in Antigua, a lot of people don't call it candy, they say sweetie. That's what they call, like, on pastry, sweetie. And, no, a lot of Caribbean chefs are, let me tell you something. You got Caribbean chef, like you said, Jamaican got good. Let me tell you something. Them ladies in Jamaica, them Caribbean women, they're some of the best cooks in the freaking world, okay? Because you got to cook with love, right? And let me tell you something, yo, big up all of y'all, the women in them that's good with the spoon. You don't know how some Caribbean women cook with pure love, and how some people try, they don't try, they just do it. For real, from, like, I remember when I was a kid, and, banana porridge from Jamaica and shit, you go to the restaurant, and how some people go to Jamaican restaurants and stuff. For us, it was kind of different, because some people go there and buy the food from some island people that they don't know. But when you go into a Caribbean spot, some Caribbean people treat some Caribbean people, with love. So I ain't never really gone in a Caribbean store, whether it was Jamaican, Antiguan, or Dominican, Puerto Rican, Haitian, and been treated wrong or unfair, because I go in the Caribbean store, I speak to them like, even with my Hispanic or Latino people, like, sometimes, like I say, my Spanish is not like it used to be, and I'm not going to act like it was 100%, but I could relate to certain, like, Hispanic and Latino people when I was a kid, because I will say that my Spanish was much more sharper, and I understood how, I'm gonna be honest here, I understood Puerto Ricans more than any other Latino island. You feel me? Because I grew up around Puerto Rican, so their Spanish was more easier for me to understand more than a lot of other. And that's how, because it's like, as I say, you grew up next to Puerto Rican people, and it's like how some of them just came to America and they couldn't speak English good. It was just like us. We couldn't speak Spanish that good, so it was a give and take. And that's why I say I don't like that nonsense of people talking about blacks and Spanish fighting. Yes, we did have our little fights, but the shit of us coming together and going to school together, going to churches together, going to the supermarkets together, going to the same welfare lines together, going through the same shit. Okay? So, like, I don't like when people don't tell the whole truth. Like, you could tell the truth, but tell the whole truth. Because I say, till this day, my first Puerto Rican friend, Louis, in school, like, I remember when we was kids in elementary school, like, 4th, 3rd grade, man, like, shoot, Louis used to go. Louis get snacks for the whole crew, and like those was the days when you had to go to school with a bag of candy. You feel me? And like the bigger your candy bag was kind of the more respect you had in the class. And then if you had more candy bags, because some people used to keep the black bags in their book bag with the 50-cent candies, the dollar candies, because you got to remember when we was kids back then, you had your little 5-cent, 10-cent candies. Then after that, you had Snickers was 50 cent, M&M Peanuts was 50 cent, Snicks was 50 cent. I said Snicks, excuse me, I mean Twix. Okay, Mr. Goodbar, Almond Joy, all of those was 50 cents. They ain't had no dollar, no $2.49. They was all 50 cents. Okay? It wasn't nothing over 50 cents or it wasn't below 50 cents. All of the big candies was 50 cents. And if they had the double size, that was $1. I remember the first time when you was talking the other day, when you was talking about Reese's Pieces peanut butter cups, right? I remember the first time us, like the kids, when we seen the 4-pack. We was surprised to see the 4-pack. Because you was used to seeing the 2-pack. Okay? You was used to seeing the 2-pack only. And then when they had the 4-pack, because if I'm correct, sometimes they had the 4-packs inside like the discount stores in the front. But other than that, you go in the regular bodega or the regular deli, and that's when you get the regular Reese's peanut butter cups with 2 in it. Everything, M&M's, the plain ones, 50 cent in the regular bag. What is it? We had the regular Twix, those 50 cent. But you had like your Fishes, your Charleston Chews, your Peanut Chews, your Long Boys, your, what is it, Micah Knights? Let me see, Micah Knights, those was a quarter. Long Boys was, sometimes depending on the store you go in and how grimy the store dude was, he'd give it to you for 10 cents. But other than that, the regular Long Boys was 5 cents. Chico Sticks, what you mean? Chico Sticks was famous in every class. Come on, man, sometimes if you ain't had Chico Sticks in your bag, you was whack, and it will save you, right? You know what it save you if you didn't have Chico Sticks and Long Boys? I'm going to tell you what it save you, and you may laugh at this. Super Bubble. Okay? Super Bubble was like, people used to diss on Super Bubbles, right? But Super Bubbles used to save you if you ain't had the other, like, not expensive candies, but popular candies, okay? And don't matter how whack people want to say Super Bubble was, Super Bubble and Crybabies is hood classics, okay? Like, forget that shit of people talking about a Charleston chew and a peanut chew. No. Super Bubble and Bazooka. Bazooka. Let me tell you something. And let me see. Hold on. The Bazooka, Bubble Yum, and Double Bubble was so solid too. Excuse me for knocking your wisdom. Let me tell you something. You see that Bazooka you said right there? Bazooka was hood classic. You know why? Because we used to read. I'm thinking his name. What was the cartoon that they had inside the Bazooka? I used to read the book, and I used to what's the name? I used to read because I remember getting a book from the supermarket, and I used to read that comic book with the dude with the crown on his head tilted, and because they used to have the little comic books inside the Bazooka, and I remember we used to save some of that Bazooka. We used to save the little paper with the comic on it. We used to have like probably 200 of those Bazooka Joe joints in our drawer, because we used to save the joints, and I remember I used to try to line them up to see if I could get the story right. Come on, man, I take you back. I can't remember the name, but I'm glad you remember the name, Bazooka Joe. Because I remember some people used to buy Bazooka, right, just to read the paper. Some people used to, let me tell you something, how we were stupid little kids back then. Some people used to throw the joint away or give your friend the gum. Or and this is not poor, but we was poor rich. I call this poor rich. You remember them days when you bought one Bazooka, but you and your boy or you or your homegirl, y'all bust that Bazooka in two? Come on, man. Or you bust that Super Bubble in two? Come on, man. Or when you used to have to you take that not, I'm trying to remember the joint. What's the sour candy? Not Jawbreaker. The one with the dude with the crazy hair on the Crybaby. When we used to crack the Crybaby with the back of our hand and we share that joint, you open it. Come on, I tell you, people be fronting like they everybody woke up rich, right? But no, it's even to the point where I take you to the point where you went to the store with you and your boy, right? And you tell the man in the store, give me an extra cup, because you pour some of your hot chocolate in his cup, and he got half a hot chocolate, and you bust that butter roll down, because the man just put that butter roll, 50-cent butter roll in the microwave, and you got a piece of butter roll, and your boy got a piece of butter roll, and y'all walking to school in the cold. They don't know about that. Okay, so people that be talking about they grew up in the hood, like, you like to say that shit so it could sound good for people to say, oh yeah, he from Bronx, or he from Brooklyn, he from Detroit, he from Atlanta, he from Los Angeles, he from Watts. Nah, man, you ain't from that joint if you ain't go through that joint. Okay? You remember that sharing them joint, like for people, for example, how people like, remember that joint telling your boy in them and everybody no backwash, cause all of y'all sharing one soda that costs 50 cents? Huh? Remember you and your boy sharing a 25-cent juice? I tell you, people like to lie about the so-called hoods they come from, right? But you don't like to tell the truth of the shit that you really went through. Okay, it's just to the point. I remember me and my brother always talking about it. How niggas be talking about they make on BMX. I remember we made our own BMX ramps and stuff with wood tires and 2x4s. We made our own BMX park. Okay, and if you fall, you fall. Get back up. Okay. We made our own BMX park with tires. Went to the tire shop, asking the tire man for a couple of tires that he don't need in the back. Then after that, we told him to go cut the wood for us so we could just ride up straight with the bike. Come on, man. Then you got the 2x4s in the middle of the joint so it won't be lopsided and all of that. Put the 2x4 in the front of it so you can have a good ramp with riding up the bike. We had creativity. And we didn't diss on each other when we took care of each other. Because you know why? That fake shit that everybody be talking about, like they grew up where everybody had Jordans on. Nah. Let me tell you something. I remember, I think like 12 years old, right? Or 13 years old. That's when I started buying my own sneakers. But before that, my mother and father bought my sneakers, okay? And you think I could complain to talking about whenever what they bought, nah. Mm-mm. No. You gonna wear what your mama bought, Delvin. And that's how it was until I bought my own sneakers. And when I bought my own sneakers, to be honest with you, what is it? My mom still was buying me clothes when I bought my own sneakers at a young age. You feel me? Because I remember her telling me, I'm going to paraphrase it, but you want to get those Jordans, you going to get your Jordan money. Okay? And that's all she had to say. She ain't had to say no more and explain really nothing no more. And to be honest with you, let me tell you something. I remember, like, my brother bought a speaker one time. And they saved up his money to get his speaker. Like, my mother and father, they used to tell us when we was kids, you want something? Yeah, we may help you go get it. But you want it that bad, you better go get your joint. And we went out and get it. That's why I don't know what it is to have your hand out and be begging for stuff. Because, nah, that just wasn't us. I used to get, oh my God. Yo, you see, I'm glad you said that. See, let me tell you, yo, Proud, don't front on Big League Gum right now. I want you to answer. Which flavor did you like? The original, strawberry, or grape? I liked the original flavor in Big League Gum. Cause I don't know, the strawberry and the grape, I didn't like that in Big League Gum. I didn't like, okay, the original and the grape, but the original had the grape beat, bro. Like, you know why I would say the original? Cause I guess I bought the original more than all of them, and the original was like, that was the first flavor that I seen in my neighborhood. And to be honest with you, in other neighborhoods they had the other flavors, but in my neighborhood they only had the white bag, and we had to go to like 10 blocks away to other neighborhoods to get the other flavors. For a Big Leagues, I would get the Gubble Stoppers, Lemon Heads, or Now and Laters. I still do till this day say Now or Later. Oh yes, we do, man. Let me tell you something. What it was, if I'm correct, right? Remember when Now Laters, they had like the 5, the original Now Laters, okay? They had the 5. And you had like, some stores used to play crazy where it's either you're gonna get them for 5 cents for the 5, or you're gonna get it for 10 cents for the 5. And then I remember some stores used to try to be on that bull, because they're gonna tell you 2 for 25, Yo, let me tell you something. I tell them I'm from the original days, man. 5 cents, okay? 5 cents was the original Now Laters. Oh man, let me see what you know about that, yo. The original, yo. Let me see. They don't be knowing too much about the original animal crackers from the supermarket, and that used to be in the corner store with the circus on it. Those is the original animal crackers. For real. And then we had you had the one with the circus on it with all the animals, and then you had the one with only the animals on the front of the front and the back. Man, and then I remember the animal crackers, right? The box, it had the little string on it. Come on, I take them back to that point when we had the little string on the animal crackers box. For that's when I was a kid, I thought that was the special box, though. I ain't gonna lie. I used to think that was the good box. For even on Cracker Jacks was famous, yo. Cause to be honest with you, Cracker Jacks toys was like shaking when we was kids, man. Cracker Jacks toys was good. For real. Let me see. I used to get the Big League chewing gum with the baseball on the front, the fruit stripes with the zoo animals, and the roll of gum, Hubble Bubble. Hey, I used to like the original one still to this day. That roller joint that looked like It look like a timepiece, and you open it up, and it be a roll of gum in there. Hell yeah, the pink. It used to be like pink bubble gum. I would say bubble gum pink. You know, that used to. Let me tell you, I used to take that, right. And before I start playing basketball with Juicy Fruit, that used to be my gum, because you could buy it for 50 cents or $1, right? And I used to just wheel some of the gum out, throw it in my mouth, and then I'd be ready to play basketball with whoever. For real. Yeah, if we ain't... Okay, hold on. Yeah, if we ain't have enough, we put our bread together and split it up amongst each other. And that's what we did, yo. We did that with no hesitation. Okay, and that's why I say, like, we know what it was to struggle together. And you ain't looking, oh, hold on, you know, we had this struggling before this, the Digimo was a thing. Digimo. Wait, what the? I ain't got my glass. We had this struggle before. I guess he said this struggle was a thing. Oh no, I guess no, that's what you mean. We had this struggle before this struggle was a thing. If one struggled, we all struggle, and that's how it was, man, for real. Until you got like, see, some people don't know, man. I remember like we got older, and you used to go out when you was a older teenager, and you start to see that some people used to use that. You feel me? Cause it's that to the point where you go out and some people couldn't afford it, but you still helped each other out. The original and the great, but the original had the great beat. I gotta mention Mellow Mars too, a New York throwback. Oh, you talking about, if I'm correct, that's them joints, the marshmallows with the chocolate with the marshmallow in the side. Damn, what's the I'm trying to remember the cover. Oh, marshmallow cookies. No, what's that shit? No, not moon pie. You remember the one where it was like chocolate on the outside, but it was the marshmallow on the inside, and I think it costed like a quarter or 50 cents, and it looked like a chocolate rose petal circle, and it was like it was 50 cents or a quarter, and it was chocolate on the outside, but it was like marshmallow creamy on the inside, and it looked like a rose petal circle. It was on both sides, but man, let me tell you, I can't even remember that name. I can't remember. And you know what was it? They had the Star Crush joint. But that was Little Debbie's. That Star, the crispy, the Rice Krispies joint with the chocolate cover. That joint was 25 cents though. Still though, the Little Debbie's one, that was 25 cents still. See, look, man. Oh, snowballs. Yeah, snowball was cool too. Because as I said last time, you get a snowball with some milk. A lot of zingers, yes. Let me tell you something. Hey, people here in the world, right? Let me tell you something. If you get you a gallon of milk, and depending on your Little Debbie snacks or your Entenmann's or Holsters, then you're going to be good on a Sunday. Okay? You're going to be good on a Sunday. Get you some soya milk, or you get you some cow milk, or you get you some goat milk. But you get you some milk and you get your pastries and you enjoy. For real, whether you like, or you could get you some cold water, But I would prefer to say, you get you some cold milk with some ice if you want, and you get you, some of your favorite treats. And what is it? I used to like Swiss rolls too, cause let me tell you something. I probably bought over 500 Swiss rolls in my life, man. And those, to be honest with you, shout out to Brooklyn, man. Let me tell you something. Swiss roll kept Swiss roll kept a lion alive many days, even though my moms and pops like made us food and stuff. Let me tell you, Swiss roll kept me alive outside. You know, like I remember, yo, you get like a Doritos, Swiss roll, 5 super bubbles, and a quart of juice, and that was your lunch for the day outside on some like some grimy stuff. You know, that was your little kid. You know, and like yeah, let me see. I like the Hostess orange cupcakes. What do you mean, man? It's funny. Let me tell you something. I remember when we was kids, right? They only had like 3 kind of cupcakes really though in the store, cause you had I remember the all white ones, and I remember the all black ones with the frosting. The ribbon was white. You know, like man, and I'm trying to remember what color was the frosting. It had orange frosting on orange ones, but the orange ones is a hitter though, for real. The orange ones is like a nah, that's a secret weapon right there. Them orange ones that get somebody hurt, for real. You just mentioned some crazy shit right there, Proud. Them orange ones that have somebody there like you'll take somebody muffin and run, for real. Them orange ones to get people in a frenzy, for real. Cause I remember when the chocolate ones with the white frosting, swirl, that one was famous. But when they start coming with the different color cakes, that's when people used to get like, robbed in a good way for your cake. Like no, it used to be some days where you couldn't have, like, if you ain't want to share, people take, like, snatchies, man. And I remember snatchies, you're not getting some of your stuff back depending on what neighborhood you live in. People will snatch your stuff. Then there was a sugar, water, and syrup sandwich. Oh, yeah, man, let me tell you. What is it, yo? I remember my girl cousin, right? Freeman Street. I remember I'm 7 years old. First time I had a mustard sandwich. Okay? Honey sandwich. Come on, man. Like, yo, that's why I tell you, people they talk about the hood, but did you actually go through any of this stuff? Huh? Come on, man. Did you go through did you go through school, and you being in elementary school and you gotta walk to school, right? Your school is 2 blocks away, but the snow is up to your chest. It ain't no staying home. I would wear my backpack on the front of my chest. F that. I felt like true life. If you want, gonna try and take my shit, you gonna have to take me with it. Oh, now we like, see, that taking stuff became, like, with us, that taking stuff became deadly, cause after I say take and put a lot of people in the ground. That's all I'll say. A lot of people wasn't with that. It's either you're gonna go in the ground or you going to the ICU. A lot of people, that taking stuff was very, like, Cause to be honest with you, like me, I don't like, oh yeah, people pockets used to get ran. That used to be like people brushing their teeth. But I tell you like this, like, I don't know, man. I just say I ain't got the mama that you could come home and say, like, her hard-earned money went to somebody else, I ain't had that mama. So, like, some people like to glorify certain shit. I don't care how tough you is in this world. You ain't taking shit from me. Somebody gonna get hurt. Plain and simple. Whether it's today, tomorrow, but somebody gonna get hurt. Okay? Cause you ain't taking shit from me and you ain't gonna make me feel less than a boy. And I need to like talking about stuff like this, cause a lot of people that be thinking that they tough, trust me, some of your toughest so-called guys and girls, they BTITCHs. For real, like, no, man, because if you could, like, let me tell you how serious this shit is. I remember from, like, the 4th grade, I put my mom a kitchen knife in my book bag, you feel me? And that's not saying this just to say it. But you ain't taking shit from me, okay? You ain't taking shit from me. Cause I wasn't the type of person, I can't live with that. I'm not gonna live with that. Cause I'm gonna make you feel the same thing how you want me to feel. I'm gonna make you feel like that. Cause I ain't gonna make you live in this world of thinking you gonna make me feel anyway. And I still live by that till this day. And that's why I tell people, don't ever get this roster shit twisted, okay? Yeah, we love peace, but don't ever think that you won't be broken in pieces. Okay? Because cowards in this world, they like to mess with people that don't mess with nobody. But I ain't never come from that. Because one thing is, I got a lot of boys in my family, and we fought each other. And we messed around with each other. So if these little punk dudes in this world ever think that they somebody impressive, I'm sorry. Like, I have an uncle that is my uncle, and I have a bunch of boy cousins that's my boy cousins, and I have a bunch of real friends, not this new generation friends and lions, okay? Males and females that, I don't know, we just grew up in another generation, in another way. I don't know how it is, because if you think that it's okay to hurt somebody, you may get hurt. I wasn't with that, because earning what we wanted was always how my sister and I was raised. You really ain't gotta steal, you don't. Robbing someone doesn't make anyone tough. It just numbers their days on earth, because there's always that one person you might run up on, and they might just be the one to put you in the dirt. No, to me, some people may sound like it's bad, right? Let me tell you this. Anybody that run up on anybody and look to rob them and take their stuff, they should put you in the dirt. Okay? They should put you in the dirt. Plain and simple. I'm not gonna explain it or put no explanation on it. No. Because if you want to be a D-boy, right, or a D-girl, and then you want to be a stick-up kid, that comes along with it, okay? Don't complain somebody robbed your stash, and don't complain somebody killed your boy, okay? It ain't no complaining. It ain't no emotions. Like, people be with some joint of, that's why I say I don't get how these so-called, y'all play with this public joint, right? But let me tell you something. If you want to be a gangster, right, it ain't no emotions in this, okay? If you want to be a real shotter, if you want to be a real rude boy or a rude girl, let me tell you, what y'all see in the public is that's what y'all see in the public. And that's what's in the public. But if you really want to be what they call a real one, and I'm not going to really explain no more, but I'm going to just say this. You ain't got no emotions about shit. Okay? Because your emotions is gone, and your emotions never was there. So when people talk about they gangsters or gangstress or a savage, let me tell you something. No, let me see. I remember Fabulous saying something like that in his song, Respect. He was like, if they ever get the watch on my left arm, I'ma have more buried than I got on my bonds. No, and like, I would, I don't, I just leave that alone. I wouldn't say that either. Now, I would just say what a lot of people talk, right? But certain things you ain't gotta say, and like, uh-uh, for real. Because I watch a lot of men and women go on the internet and say they're this and they say they're that, and that's all I would say. That's all I would say. I will, like Tupac said, I will laugh until the end of time. Cause all of the people that y'all really think is gangster, and be honest with you, I look at them as girls, and I look at the girls that y'all think is gangster. They need to sit down, cause the real night stalkers, trust me, a lot of people don't want to see them. And I ain't talking about people with ski masks on, because I'm not from this generation of saying a poo shiesty, because everybody that wear poo shiesty is a pussy, okay? Yeah, I think y'all want to bring a new generation. Got kids wearing poo shiesties in school, looking like idiots, looking like fools, looking like dummies. Now, it ain't no social media gangsters, bro. I'm talking about they putting stuff on social media, but our young kids are going to school with a ski mask on, because they want to follow stupid adults. There ain't nowhere a young kid in high school, junior high school, or elementary should have a ski mask in a school. If I was the principal or dean, I'd have looked to kick their parents in their face. For real. Nah, that's why I call these stupid rappers. They look at Boosie, Jay-Z, Jim Jones, all of these people as... And let me just say this, yo. All of these people that y'all call high-end rappers and entertainers, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it one time. Without a gun or without any force, if any one of them was ever in front of my face, they would be on their knees praying. Okay? And that's to show you that a lot of you people don't believe in God if you don't understand what I mean. For real. Because y'all look at these so-called entertainers and y'all praise them like they're God or the devil itself. I've been disrespecting all of these entertainers. That's why when people look at people like Jim Jones, Jay-Z, Jadakiss, or I don't give a damn. They all pussies. And I'm being for real. I'm not joking. I'm not laughing. What makes any one of them tough guys or tough girls? For real. Because I mean what I say. I will... Let me not say that. I always tell my nephew, if you're interested in being a carpenter, that's a G. Oh, nah, it ain't. Come on, man. Being a carpenter is better than being a punk ass rapper. For real. At least being a carpenter, you could have more skills than being a carpenter alone. You feel me? Even though I didn't do like. Let me see how much years now. Damn. I stopped carpentry over 20 years ago. I start I stopped doing, I will say, public carpentry. And let me tell you something. It was probably carpentry saved my life too. You know? Along with my mother, martial arts and Rasta, carpentry was one of the jobs that saved my life. Because if I never started carpentry, I would have been very I would have been in darker places, you know? So if your nephew or anybody want to do carpentry in this world, I always tell them go for it, cause I could cry right now about carpentry, how it saved my life and many other dudes' lives and females, you know, cause I remember the first day at the job in Bed-Stuy. 788 Madison Avenue between Ralph and Patchen. First job I ever did in my life. First block I ever worked on in my life. You never forget shit like that. And of course I could cry right now, but it'll be tears of joy. R.I.P. Desmond. It's the man that taught me how to paint. A Trinidadian. He wasn't my co-worker. He was actually my paint mentor. He was my paint teacher. And I remember us arguing because he was a Caribbean old school dude and I was slash black American slash Caribbean child. And I used to come to the job. Imagine a kid coming to the job with Jordans on, a chain, a ring, and a cell phone. And you talking about you want to be a carpenter. You gonna look at a little kid like that like you didn't come to work. And that's how I used to come to the job. Like he used to call me Saga Boy, cause I used to come to work like you going to a wedding or something. And I remember, to be honest with you, I didn't want paint to touch my shoes. I didn't want my clothes to get dirty and shit. And I remember one day we was there arguing. It was like, tomorrow don't come here with those clothes on. I'm like, I'm gonna come here with these clothes on. I just came from school. I said, I'm not going home to change my clothes and then come back here. So I remember I started putting a different pants in my book bag. And then I take off my shirt that I wore to school and I fold it up inside my book bag, and I have my wife beater and my dirty pants and still have my clean sneakers on. So every day we used to argue because he'd be like, you don't listen. You still got your clean sneakers and you come in and if somebody do this, you want to argue and fight everybody. So I remember months keep going by. And I like, damn, I gotta go pick up some old Nikes in the crib, you feel me? And I gotta just wear some old Nikes in the crib and stop. I was being very stupid, you feel me? Because it wasn't like I didn't have old Nikes in my house. But I was wearing my school Jordans to do carpentry work. And he was there, he was protecting my sneakers more than I wanted to protect my own sneakers, but I was being an ignorant little bastard, you know? And I don't mean a bastard without a father. I mean a bastard that didn't want to listen to an elder that was trying to show me something that I should have listened to. Okay, it's 2 type of bastards. It's 3 if you want to listen. Okay. Now I remember, and I'm gonna put them sneakers that, cause it was some Air Max that my girl cousin bought me, but I can't remember the full name. But I'm gonna put them up too, cause she bought me those pair, and then I remember she bought herself a pair. Cause my girl cousin, 2 of my girl cousins, they used to they was girls, but they wore I'd say they was New York City fly girls. And shit you see from women in the 80s and the 90s, like, and they wasn't no drug dealer girls, straight up and down. I just tell you that, you know. They never sold, these two ladies never sold a drug in their life, okay? And they was fly girls, you know. Now, let me get back to me and Desmond. So I remember I said I gotta wear some old shoes because I was being stupid not listening to him, and I was being a young fool, you know. So I remember I went home that night, had white paint on my Jordans, you know, on my number 2s. I'm mad. My white and blue joints. White, blue, and black. Telling my brother, I said, you see this shit? And they're cursing, because back then I had a foul mouth, you know? I had respect, but I had a foul mouth for certain things. So I'm like, you see this shit? I'm like, this effing job effed up my sneakers. I'm there blaming the job and the dude, you feel me? So my brother was there like, why is you complaining? You're gonna clean them off or you're gonna buy some new sneakers. Like, you just need to shut up. I'm not like, so I'm there like, you agreeing with the job? And like, as I said, I was kind of ignorant back then to certain stuff. Like, if I'm mad at something, like, I'm attacking that. You feel me? So, and I'm going at it. So I'm like, yeah, man, like, that joint messed up my sneakers. Look at my sneakers. So, back then, that's when I used to take, like, soap, rag, and the sponge, you know, and hot water. And it's either Ajax or Dawn, you know? And it's either you get a bucket or you use the bathroom sink. Now, I remember I'm there telling my brother, I was like, yo, I can't even wear my sneakers to the job no more. Me and this guy had an argument. He said, you and this guy had an argument or you started the argument with him? I said, I started the argument. So he was like, nah, yo, he said, just wear your old sneakers. He said, don't be getting, he said, you know you wear some good sneakers there at the job, and he said, they get dirty. He said, you know you gonna go off stupid, yo. He said, come on, man. He said, don't act like you gonna be regular. I said, yeah, you right. You know, because I was very, I'm gonna be honest, man, like, it could be like, I'm gonna be honest, it could be like 7 years, right? And I have a pair of sneakers and they won't have a dirt stain on them. And you won't believe I bought them shit 7 years ago. I used to keep sneakers super clean, no crease, and like, cause I was very strict on a lot of things. You feel me? I calm down nowadays a lot, even though some people said I didn't change, but I believe I do change. I did change, excuse me, because if I didn't change, trust me, I would be dead or in jail, okay? I wouldn't be here, and this is why I really do get mad at some people when they say certain things, because I'm like, yo, I'm not the same person, you feel me? You may be the same, but I'm not the same. And I'm very proud of myself. For real. I'm very proud of myself, because some people would joke around with you, but you don't know how much days I had to cry to myself. You don't know. Okay, you don't know how much days I had to walk in the rain and cry. Okay, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Okay? I'm not ashamed to say that, because those tears, I had to get them out. And even if right now I have to cry in this modern day, F that, it's gonna come out, you know, because don't ever make nobody, whether you're female or male, right? Don't ever let nobody think that the water that you have inside of you that come outside of you make you something that humans made up. And what do you mean by that, Delvin? Just because you cry, don't ever make a human think that you are soft. And just because you don't cry, don't make a human think that you are tough. Now, I remember when I changed my sneakers and start wearing, you know, regular Air Max to the job. Not the Air Max 95s. There was the other ones, you know. And I don't remember I started learning the job better, because it was like, at first when I first started carpentry, I was 14 years old. I stopped at 21, but I was I was in and out, and after 21 years old, I didn't do I would say I didn't do jobs that was that our people had anymore, but I used to do independent jobs, and if the boss had need me, I would go anywhere because he knew me since I was 3 years old, so it's like, it wasn't like I'm working for a boss, I'm working for somebody that's like my uncle, you feel me? And so if like he called me and said we going to Jersey, we going to Jersey. If he called me and said we going to Brooklyn and we going to go build the joint, we going there to build this joint. So it was like, I was like a Navy SEAL on deployment, anytime he need me, like, he gonna get Delvin phone number some way, somehow after I was 21. And that's when I started doing like independent jobs for him, like Navy SEAL or DevGru. Like I was working for Special Forces, if he needed me on certain jobs, like I could be, for example, if I'm chilling right now on this podcast and he texts me right now or call me, I lead it. I go and we gonna go work, cause as I said, this ain't like somebody that you just met. This is somebody that knew me when I was 3 years old. You feel me? This is somebody that I knew when I didn't even go to school. So it's not like you working for a stranger. You working for like family. And I remember Desmond. I remember. He gave me a training though. He gave me I never forget this shit. I thought it was bad, but it was good. He put me in a room, and it was supposed to be a room for 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And I remember I thought we had time with the room, right? But when he put me in the room, he told me he wanted me to prime this whole room. And then he wanted me to paint it in the morning. So, me being a young, cocky kid, I'm there like, okay, I could do this. So, first, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started painting when I was a kid at 14 years old, the first thing I never thought about priming. I used to think about just slapping paint on and that's it. Okay? I didn't care about how the background looked of all of that. I just wanted to slap paint on. And that's it, and I was done. Let me tell you something. I remember when we went in the room. Now, it got four walls, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we in this room, right? And he telling me, like, yeah, I want you to do all these 4 walls and do the window like last. So I'm like, okay. I remember I grabbed the paint bucket and I tried to just paint like I said, I'm like, boop, 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 boop. I paint everything. When I watch that joint dry, right, I start seeing like cracks between the wall. I start seeing the holes. I start seeing all this different stuff. Lines. Sorry, and that's when it dried. So this one, like, yo, when you did painting, you have to make sure. Yeah, I'm laughing at myself because, trust me, proud. I can remember this day in my head. I thought I was the shit, right? When I was there. When you got your roller and you got the joint on the floor, right? You got your paint pan on the floor and you there rolling. You going up and down. I got my tarp down. I got my... Because I used to love using a blue tarp and a clear tarp. And then sheet towel at home, I used to use home products for like my tarps, so I remember I used to bring like, a square king size, sheet, because that used to help me out paint too, after I started getting the hang of it. But at first I had to use what Desmond and Mike and them gave me, clear tarp paper from Home Depot. And then after that, the blue tarp, I used to like the blue tarp because the blue tarp sometimes, I don't know where they got it from, blue tarp, it could cover like
a whole room and you didn't need to go get your razor blade and start cutting more, like the clear tarp. You feel me? The clear tarp, it used to be we'll keep it in the kitchen. You roll it out on the floor and see how much you need. You got to measure how much you need and then you cut it. Then roll that joint back up, put the tape to stop it. Like, no, but the like the blue tarp, we had the blue tarp, the ones that you cover cars with, and the ones that you cover in the back of like stage shows and all of that, you know? So, and that blue tarp, I remember one time I spilled some paint on the floor too. It wasn't that much, but lucky thing it spilled on the blue tarp and it didn't go on the floor. Okay, that blue tarp sucked that paint up and it didn't go on the carpet. God bless me. Woohoo! Let me tell you something. I learned that tarp will save your life in a painting job or any type of construction carpentry job. Okay, you must put tarp down or you must put paper down. You must always protect the people house that you are working in and do not think about yourself. You better think about protecting your job. Okay, now I remember Desmond, I tried to wait till the wall dry, and I remember when the wall dry and he came back in, I started seeing lines, this and that, cracks. So at that point, I didn't know how to putty and I didn't know how to tape. I thought I did in my mind, but I didn't physically. And what you think in your mind and how you do something physically is totally another story. I remember he told me, he said, yo, his name was Dezo, and he called me Dello, because straight up and down, I'm his apprentice. You feel me? Like, he's my mentor. Like, yes, my father may showed me how to do certain things with a car, but it never been nobody really to show me how to paint and actually take the time and show me how to do certain things and to knock certain holes out, or how to paint around a light post, or how to paint a wall, or how to put certain tape down, or how to protect people's house, and how to protect people's items that they actually bought. If you're working in a house that is there already and people bought stuff and you have to work around these people's TV, you have to make sure. You think you're going to drop paint on somebody's TV and just say sorry? No. Okay, you think you're going to drop paint on somebody's picture and say sorry? You think you're going to do something to somebody's personal belongings that they actually like and say sorry? It can't be. And good thing I will say that a lot of people, houses that we worked on, a lot of people was very respectful. I can remember I did a lot of jobs, but I can remember probably out of all of the people, we probably had like 10 miserable and disgusting people. But I learned with the job, people will get like that, because you have some people, they may spend $10,000. You may have some people, they spend $20,000. You may have some people, they're spending money and you're not eating lunch off of your pockets. You're eating lunch off of their pockets every day. You have certain people that are feeding you and a crew of 20 people or a crew of 12. And I had to learn that. Check this out. Let me finish with the little paint session, me and Desmond. So I remember he told me, he was like, look at all these lines and stuff. And I remember I thought I was the shit of thinking that they was all good, until I actually realized that you got holes, you can see, you got lines, you can see, you got cracks, different stuff. So he went and got some compound and got a little bit of the powder to make it dry faster. And he showed me how to do putty. But when he showed me how to do that, I was like, that's how my father do it with the cars. So with the cars, you have a plastic knife, you feel me? And in construction, you have a steel knife, where you mix the putty around like it's ice cream and pastry, you feel me, to smooth it all in. And then the car one is the rubber putty, you mix it the same way in the compound. So he teaching me how to mix compound and stuff, and I'm there like, okay, he taking me back to my childhood when my father used to put compound on cars and stuff, with the red paste. I'm like, okay, but the only difference is my father used to use a red or a green paste. He's using a little bit of powder, so he used a little bit of powder, and the paste is what to make it dry quicker. So I'm there like, okay, I'm getting like I'm like, okay, my pops did this, you feel me? So he's teaching me how to put it on the wall, and then after that you gotta sand it. So like as I say, when you don't know, see, I went in there and I started. My mom's and my boss made me do carpentry or construction work, as you could say, when we moved to Brooklyn, so I could not follow street people, you know? But that wasn't the case, I would say. That wasn't the case. And I did like it because I will tell you, I wouldn't even call it a job, but that was the best job I was ever at in my life, doing carpentry, because it made me, even though I was alive not doing it, but doing carpentry makes me feel alive. It makes my heart, it makes my soul smile. I love fixing houses. You feel me? Because it's like, if you look at my hands, the palm of my hands, like, I done had skin come off. I done had like so much different hand like injuries, you know. I done had like, you know, my knuckles messed up, but at the end of the day, it wasn't for the money. It was for the love. You know, it was for the love. And done had times I couldn't walk home. My feet stiff. You know, my thighs like tighten up. I had some shoot. I had days where I had a whole bunch of dust in my eye. I gotta wash out my face for like an hour. I'm telling you, like, I had some days at the construction site, but I love it. You know, and I remember that day that Desmond showed me how to putty and paste, you know, as people will call it, but how to tape, you know? He showed me how to tape, and when he showed me that, let me tell you something. I learned to love him. Because I was a young person being an ignorant Delvin, and he was the elder having patience with my young self, you feel me? And I love you, Desmond. I know you in Zion watching, and I know you smiling and saying, Dello, do your thing. And I'm gonna always do my thing, because I tell people, all of my wood art, every time I paint, I always remember my teacher. And trust me, I may be messing up on some corners and some creases and some lines, but you know what? We gonna always keep the line moving. You feel me? Because I remember, don't matter where we was, I remember when we became close, he used to throw 2 rooms at me, you feel me? And this the point where he didn't have to walk in a room with me and tell me how to do the room. He just used to tell me like, yo, that room gotta get done. So I'm knowing that he ain't gotta tell me about, all I know, I go in the room and I gotta look. So if I gotta putty the room, if I gotta prime the room, and if I gotta paint the room, and if I gotta dust out and sand the room, he ain't gotta tell me that. I gotta go in there and see what that room need. And that's how much he taught me. Okay, because I remember, I'm gonna be honest with you, I used to like when years used to go by, right? And he used to say like, yo, I just want you to prime that room and that's it. And when you go in the bathroom, I want you to paint the bathroom black. I'm just using black as an example, but not black. He said, and I want you to, like, you know, because sometimes we used to have to, you used to have to take the bathroom mirror out, you know, to paint behind the mirror and then put the mirror back in. And then some people, they want to be, like, some people used to always be like, I want the mirror light blue or white. 3 colors. People used to want the mirror either white, light blue, or light yellow, you know. And to be honest with you, I'm gonna be real, I used to hate painting some mirrors white, because I done seen so much damn white mirrors in my life in the bathrooms that it got me sick. Okay, I used to tell him, I'm like, yo, why we can't paint it light blue? He said, because it depends on the color that the person want, and it depends on the color that they put on the blueprint of the job. I was like, okay. You know, and then a lot of times I learned that I had to go by professional stats, because if I want this joint to be blue, okay, you go look on the blueprint paper, and you go see what they said that they want that bathroom mirror to be. And if you even change that bathroom mirror, heads are gonna roll and people are gonna be fired. You know, so I had to learn that, yo, what you feel is what you feel, but you don't ever make your feelings mess up the job, okay? Because the job is more bigger than your feelings. And it became a point where even though Desmond taught me how to paint, he didn't know that I would be good in carpentry, to the point where I remember he used to tell me, bring your hammer and your screw gun here, come and do something. And it was cool though, because I grew up with them, but then I grew up on a job with them, to the point where I remember even my boss believes in me so much till this day, where, let me tell you something, and I call him my boss because he is my boss, and I have respect for him, and I will always have respect for him, because outside of my father, he's one of the men in this world that I love. You feel me? As I said, yo, he knew me since I was 3 years old, and he taught me life lessons, and he taught me how to use my hands as in building and not destroying. Okay? And one of the best teachers I ever had in my life. You feel me? One of the best teachers, and I still love him till this day. That love will never go away. You know, cause that's my dog. That is one of my real teachers, you know, and you can't never duplicate people like him. Okay? As I say, man, I remember going on the job at 14 years old, and you got men that's 40, you got men that's 30, you got men that's 25, you got men 50. I remember I started sweeping, and I remember some dudes used to throw paper down on the floor. They used to throw wood on the floor on purpose sometimes. Some dudes used to do stuff on purpose. And I remember I used to, like, I wanted to take it streetwise with them, you know. But I had to realize that now they was there testing me. And I remember the older I got, those same men that was doing shit on purpose, I became way better than them at the job, because they became working for me. The same paper they was throwing on the floor of making me sweep it up when I was 14 and 15 years old, when I turned 17, 18, and 19, them same grown men had to pick up my screw gun, had to pick up my hammer, had to take 2x4s up the stairs for me, and had to listen to everything I say, else they couldn't been at the job site. So I tell you, sometimes life and God will turn stuff around in your favor, but you just gotta be patient and watch your time to shine. For real, because I remember I used to get mad at it, and I used to be like, I remember I used to come home sometimes, I used to tell my brother, I'm like, yo, I want to cut this man in the face, I want to stab him, like, this dude do this. I used to be arguing at night when I go home, because I'm tired. I'm like, nigga threw the paper on the floor, and my brother like, calm down, like, you home, like, you cool, man, you gonna get paid on Friday, it's alright, man, we gonna go shopping, it's over. I'm like, nah, man, he threw the paper on the floor, and then he there looking and laughing, and like, and I remember my brother was like, let it go, don't worry about it. I remember my brother used to just be like, let it go, bro, let it go. And I remember the year, I'd be like, you know what? My brother was like, he ain't tell me as in like, nah, let it go. They gon' beg one day. He was like, let it go, bro. He was like, he said they gonna pay for it. And I ain't know what he mean, cause I was like, back then I wasn't letting no shit go. I'm making you pay for it right then and there, okay? I wasn't the I was, how they say, take it there or taking something too far. I'm Mr. Like, I'm not gonna take it there or take it too far. I'm gonna show you what I like. I'm gonna show you delving, you know. And I'm sorry to say, Ja, I'm gonna make you wish you never like knew me, you know. Like, for it didn't matter who you was back then. I make you like, I didn't play those tit for tat games. Like, no, I'm gonna do something to you, and when I do it to you, you're gonna wish you ain't never known me. You're gonna hate me for the rest of your life. Okay. Mudding cracks in the wall and smoothing them space over was also something that was fun to do. No, bro, I remember I first started, right? And I used to read the newspaper a lot. You know what I used to do? I used to take my newspaper, right, from out of my book bag from school, and I used to put in the holes and cracks. You feel me? Let me tell you, people, a lot of people in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, right? I fix y'all holes. If you look, right, a lot of people in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. This is a true fact. If you break a lot of holes in a lot of apartments in Bed-Stuy, duplex apartments in Bed-Stuy right now, right? You will see newspapers in a lot of walls in Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy. Okay, because I did a lot of, we worked in Bed-Stuy a lot, you know, and we did in a lot of apartments and houses and different structures of places that I did. Bed-Stuy I worked in a lot, you know, like we did, I'd say in Bed-Stuy we probably did over 100 apartments, you know, and maybe like 10 houses, and I would say like 2 business areas in Bed-Stuy. Bed-Stuy was Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn was, it was a heavy business place for us. And I'm gonna say Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn put a lot of money in my pockets working in construction field. You know, it put a lot, cause I remember when I used to do independent jobs for some people, they'd be like, yo, Young Dre, you know how to fix that? I'm like, yeah, man. Some people have paid me $20, $50 just to do. I remember a dude paid me some bud one time, you know, to fix his steps in Asbury Park, in in New Jersey, you know, and it was just like, what is it? It was 3 steps, you know. He bought the cement, he bought the rocks, I used the water from that street, and he gave me some bud, you know. He gave me a good amount of bud, you know, and we became cool after that day, you know. But I did a lot of independent jobs for a lot of people, and I'm not gonna say like for free, but I did a lot of free jobs for people where I didn't you know, count no money, because I did it where it's like, nah, yo, we did this because if I have the little tools and the supplies, I'm gonna do it. If I got the tools and supplies and, like, you know, it's main quick, right, like, I'm gonna do something for you. I'm gonna fix a hole, or I'm gonna fix the steps or something. Or for example, like when I used to do my aunt landscaping, yeah, she used to pay me, but I didn't do it for her paying me really. And I remember I was talking to my brother about it 2 weeks ago. I'm like, nah, I ain't do it for the money. I did it because it was my aunt, you know, and that's my bone grizzle, you know? For real. Okay. When painting the wall, I always use paint tape. Yeah, I always use the blue one. I got addicted to using the blue skinny one and the blue big one, that like the duct tape, because my father used to use that, and that's what we used to use at the job. So like the blue paint tape, that was the best in the world to me, to be honest with you. I like the white one too, but I just got used to the blue one because I don't know, I just seen it at the construction sites, and I seen it at the garages. So that, like, we used to seeing that, the fat one, you know. Even though I liked the skinny one more, because the skinny one you could have maneuver, and like my father had taught me how to twist it, you know. Okay, paint tape to place on the corner and edges, and the primer the walls first, then paint and give it 2 coats, but the second coat after the first coat dries for a couple hours. Yeah, no, and that's where I tell you, man, you there thinking that you know something, man. I was a sloppy painter at first, thinking that I could just paint and not even like tape or even prime, and think you just want to slap tape on, like paint on the wall. I was very nonsense, you know. And like, as a job, loving your job, I was very ashamed of myself when I look back at it, because that was awful, you know. Yeah, bro, the pain is felt the following morning the most after experience at the bro. I remember one day working in East New York on Montauk and New Lots, right? As I say, I worked in Jordans more than ever wearing. In 7 years, I probably wore boots in 7 years, and like my others after 21 years old, I probably wore boots like 6 months. Okay, because I was comfortable wearing Jordans or Nikes or New Balance or even Uptowns to do construction work, and that's what I did carpentry in, like in sneakers, you know. Like, I was comfortable in my Jordans, you know. It made me feel like I could have worked better, you know. And I don't know, it's just a different feeling. It made you, like, you know, feel different working in your sneakers than the boots, you know. That's just me. Other people feel another way of working in their boots because of protection of the toe and the foot, but I just felt more flexible and more faster with working in my sneakers, and that's just how I grew up anyway. You know, I grew up where I like sneakers, you know. Okay, once you get the hang of anything, you're left to handle what you know you got to get done. No, and that was the shit, man. Let me tell you, what you ask for, you get. Last minute switches for what wasn't discussed originally can be frustrating too. Oh no, and I remember sometimes, like, if you saying that, I remember some stuff that I messed up. I had to freestyle on the fly. You're fixing something, or you got to take a door handle off and paint around it. Like, I remember when I used to think of doing stuff in order, they start to show me how to do stuff on the fly, where if you got to take this door off, you got to take this door off now, and we got to paint this little spot. But then after that, you could tape around the spots, and then after that, you paint it. You ain't got to take the whole door off. Sometimes you got to move a door to the edge. Sometimes you got to add some shingles in between the door edge. Then you got to put the corner beams back. Like, it was like, I didn't learn to work off the fly until they taught me how to work off the fly. You know, like, you had, and what I mean by work off the fly, like freestyle working without being like organized on the job, and it's still gonna get done correctly. Okay, that be the devil trying you. Oh no, I had many haters at the job, but those haters, as I said, you know, they became my workers. And I remember when I was like 18, for real, y'all, I had like 12 dudes, you know. As I said, you gotta go, I tell you to go downstairs and you gotta bring the sheetrock for me. You gotta go get my hammer, you know. So, and I remember one time a dude from St. Vincent, he got mad. I told him, I said, yo, bro, you getting mad at me, but you can't do what I could do, so it don't make no sense you get mad at me, you know? For real, you sound like Redman and How High, man. I've been taking your CDs, weed, pipes. I'm sorry, man. And Method Man was like, nah, it's alright, man. And Red is like, nah, it's not alright, man. Oh no, I would say the old Delvin was, I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like the old me, you know, I don't. And how people to say, cause I say the old me was a monster, you know? And there's no, like, you know, I don't like the old me, cause not somebody to like. Newspaper, not the only walls, but windows too. Oh yeah, what you mean? Yo, crush the newspaper up and get the Windex from the corner store and we wiping them windows down, man. My aunt, if I'm correct, my aunt taught me that. My aunt and my godmother, you know, and an old lady. I never really rock with New Balance much because they became no balance quick on jobs like that. You know what? I gotta show you a pair of New Balance. I'm gonna look for them today when I finish work. And I don't know. I think you may like them because I told my brother that I'm looking for them, and it's not like any of these pairs, because like how people be with this new sneaker, this new generation, the new sneaker generation. Like, nah, man, I'm from the old school sneaker generation where we had Bo Jacksons, we had Jordans, we had Pennies, we had like a lot of different sneakers, like, and it was a culture, you know? It was, even when you said the other day with the Iversons, you know, like, Iverson, to be honest, for real, a lot of dudes in New York City, none of us in Philly, on the East Coast, we wouldn't wear no Iversons like Reeboks if it wasn't for Allen Iverson. Girls used to wear Reeboks when I was a kid, and that's it. And like, don't matter how people want to say this, I'ma say this, yo. See, a lot of people like to, you got Jordan as the GOAT, right? But if you look at who is the most popular NBA player of all time that changed the culture, is Allen Iverson. Okay? Iverson had kids, and I was one of them where, I ain't going, because to be honest with you, like, I'm gonna be one of them little kids to say, and it's real. Like, we had braids before Iverson. Okay? I had braids before 1996 and 1997, before he was drafted. When he was in Georgetown, he didn't have braids. Like, as long as I could remember, right, when I was a kid, I had hair. Even if I remember going on, like, shout out, this is old South Bronx shit. You feel me? If you from Prospect Avenue, you know about the barbershop being next to the pizza shop and being next to Honeywell, the cab stand on 169th and Prospect. Okay, no, hold up. That's 167 and Prospect. You feel me? 1 block away from 168. Okay? You know about the cab stand, you know about the barbershop, and you know about the pizza shop on the corner. So, like, that's where I'm from. You know, where that right there, I don't know, I think I probably went in that barbershop one time. But other than that, yeah, I think I only went in that barbershop I think I only been to the barbershop one time in my whole entire life. Other than that, I never had my hair cut. Like, I don't know, like, I took people to the barbershop, but I don't know what it is really to sit in a barber's chair and make somebody cut my hair. Cause I can't, like, For real, the job experiences we endure also shape us to who we became with time and age. Oh yeah, cause trust me, I worked in a 7-Eleven for like 10 years, and shit, I thought I knew about business, but working in there, I learned actually more about business around the world even more. And whew, I tell you, the if you want to think street stuff is dirty, like, when it comes to like convenience stores and taking care of people in public service, like, oh my, I done seen the worst, and trust me, I could have I'm gonna have that too, 7-Eleven Chronicles for real. My new thing with independent work is great to learn, but when you hear your job, when hold on, you hear your wait, when you hear who you're doing, when you hear who is doing your job for say or that looks easy, my thoughts low key would be like mother effer. You ain't doing it though, that's why you, let me say, pay me or somebody else to do it. Of course, Iverson, Starberry, Peyton, Shaq, Jordan, etc. Health. Salute to the chat. Oh, bless up everybody now. Thank you, Proud, for being in the building, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, my brother, No, and even Marbury, but I would say, like, no, because, see, the thing is, Jordan, like, yes, he is known as the greatest player of all time. And just because he's known as the greatest player of all time, I don't think that makes him the most influential player, the most popular player, and it's just I don't like going with the public, because me and my brother was having a conversation the other day, and I know that a lot of people like Jordan, and to certain things they'll judge Jordan on everything. Jordan is nice, right? But Jordan is not a better shooter than Steph Curry in three-pointers, okay? So, like, people don't, there's many things that Jordan can't do. Jordan is not a better power dunker than Shaquille O'Neal. Like, it's things where, because I like how people used to say, oh, Jordan this and that. Like, yo, with all the things of people saying Jordan didn't have no weakness, Jordan had 4 other people helping him out on the court, and he had something you call a head coach. Okay? So, and that's one thing that I had to learn the hard way. Because I remember wanting to be cocky on the court and shit and thinking that, like, yeah, nobody else can F with me and I don't give a damn, I'll beat the world. But I learned that, no, the baddest person on that court is the one that could utilize his team in the best way. Because don't matter how you twist it and turn it, if you're a good three-point shooter, I'm going to pass it to you. If you're a good free throw shooter, I'm going to pass it to you. If you're a good dunker, I'm going to pass it to you. Whatever you are good at and helping the team win, I'm going to make sure you get the ball. Okay? And that is teamwork. Forget all of that nonsense of looking for the attention. No, whatever everybody got to do to make this team win, that is what I learned is the best thing. Now, with Jordan, yeah, he's what people will say. But I say this with Iverson, even though he didn't win a championship, but let me tell you something. Growing up being a young, skinny person and being short, I could relate to Iverson because he played in the NBA with a lot of people that was taller than him. But I'll say this, there's not that many people that was taller than him that played in the NBA that had more guts. Like, to me, I remember my big boy cousins and the big dudes on the block, they was taller than me and all that. But my heart beat, you feel me? My heart beat to say, like, it didn't matter how tall these dudes was. Delvin ain't quitting, Delvin ain't stopping, and Delvin gonna come every day and play. So, like, that's why when people be talking about, yeah, this person is nice, this person is that, it don't matter what you say about somebody. It matters how you show up every damn day. Okay? That's what matter. I remember one time a guy told his friend that he could bust my butt. Yeah. Okay. Ooh. Okay, I'm about to continue this later. I'm about to leave work. So I will continue this later. You know what? I'm going to continue this in an hour or less. But I'm about to leave work and get home. you know. But thank you, open-minded, and thank you, proud. I really appreciate y'all brothers, man, for real, for being true. And God bless. I will see y'all when I see y'all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.